Hey guys, how you going? I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any problems with the sound or the quality, let me know in the comments because my internet's been a little bit up and down today. So I'm not sure how it's going, but please let me know how it goes. Sorry about the late notice on this video as well. There's a couple of reasons I wanted to do this live. But one of the main reasons was just that I've been getting so many messages and comments recently, which I haven't been able to get back to because it's kind of been hectically busy. And I really wanted a chance to kind of connect with you guys, to catch up with how you guys are going, because I know it's a little bit crazy right now. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm in lockdown here in the UK with everyone else. And I know that a lot of countries are also in lockdown. And it's starting to feel just a little bit claustrophobic, maybe a little bit lonely. And it's just nice to be able to catch up and just chill, have a chat with you guys, have a drink, have some chocolate, I've got some chocolate buttons here, and just relax, get to know you guys a little bit better as well, because I feel like it's been quite a while since we've had a catch up. So let me know what country you're in, how things are going for you, how you're feeling. You can write it in the comments and just let me know. And I will be reading them as we go through. I'm super excited to know where everyone's from. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be a massive mixture of places, and that's what I absolutely love. So Leicester, okay, that's nice and close. I'm in Nottingham, so that's pretty close to me. So yeah, let me know where you guys are coming from. And also, thank you so much for all the love on the previous video about what I ate to lose weight, a bit of a different video. And I know something that a lot of people have asked for such a long time. And so I thought it was an interesting topic and I put it up, and I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. And you got some Germany, Greece, yes, Greece, nice and warm, I'm hoping, Egypt, Czech Republic, US, Dominican Republic. Isn't this so cool? It actually blows my mind to think that there's like 82 people and we're all from completely different places. Mexico, Austria, another person in Greece, Watford, UK. Interesting. And how's everyone finding lockdown and just general life at the moment? I know most countries are in a pretty similar position where everything is obviously not normal. So how's everyone finding it? And I tell you what, I'm okay in terms of lockdown, but I am having major homesickness for Australia the last couple of weeks. Like super, I don't know what it is. I just really miss it. Ecuador, Hungary, Shrewsbury. I used to live in Shrewsbury. Aussie in Canada, awesome. Northern Ireland, awesome. Love the accent. It's such a cool accent. Okay, cool. So keep talking in there and I'll just keep looking back and forth. But any questions that you have as well, it can literally be about anything. This is literally just a chill, let's catch up, let's have a chat, get to know each other. So put them in the comments if you have any questions, you want to ask me anything, just get to know me. I want to get to know you guys. I might ask you a few questions as well. But I'm going to talk through a couple of things that have been on my mind, a couple of things that I'm getting a lot of questions about recently. It might be to do with training, injury, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'm just going to talk. You guys can tell me when you're bored of it and drop some questions in the comments as well, and we can get to know each other. So the first thing that I've been getting a lot, and this is probably very relevant to the fact that a lot of us are in lockdown, is people struggling to stay consistent or stay motivated with whatever they're doing. And that might be work, it might be training, it might be looking to lose weight, all that sort of stuff. But it's really quite hard. And I think the number one thing is to remember that you're not alone. Like everybody is struggling right now and finding it pretty difficult to stay motivated, consistent all the time. And it's unrealistic to expect ourselves to be able to stay motivated and consistent all the time. I definitely don't. I mean, on a daily basis, I'm having huge slumps in motivation and consistency. And I mean, I'm surprised you guys don't notice it as much as you do, because I feel like it's like good up and up and up and then down. It's just constantly a roller coaster ride. So it is completely normal to feel that way. I think we have to allow ourselves to understand that it is okay. But also, if we want to keep going forward, it's about just taking small steps towards whatever you want to achieve, and maybe stepping back, reassessing what your goals are and where you want to work towards, and then breaking that up into small behaviors and habits that you can form, but then also just remaining consistent with that and just moving forward. So it's about breaking it up and being kind to yourself, but just taking it day by day and working towards it and knowing that you're not alone, and whatever you do, even if it's something small, it's going to help you towards what you want to achieve. So just keep going. And that's the sort of thing I try and tell myself, is just allow yourself to have a day or 2 days or whatever you need to feel bad or to lay off, slack off it a little bit, but then just get back up and go again. And eventually you'll feel better. The more you do something, the better you'll feel. And another really good thing to do is just look back at where you've come from, whether it's work, whether it's growing a business, whether it's losing weight, whether it's getting into learning how to do push-ups, whatever it might be. Just look back where you've come from and then just keep pushing forward, because that's a huge motivator. So I've lost so much motivation since gyms have been closed. Yeah, I mean, it's something about going to the gym. I mean, I haven't been to the gym in 8 months because of my injury, like 8 months. That was when I last was working in the gym. And then we had COVID lockdown 1, and I ended up leaving, obviously, because the gym shut. And I went fully online at that point to become personal trainer online. And I haven't stepped foot in the gym since because I got injured. So when they reopened, I just couldn't go back. And I totally get it. There is something motivating about being in the gym, being in that environment around other people who are kind of like-minded, or even if you don't talk to someone, just going around other people. And it's hard. But again, remember, like, I like going back to this one as well. This too shall pass. It will go past. This will be over one day. Gyms will reopen. And until then, you just have to be kind to yourself and do what you can do. And you're not going to regress more than you think you are. If you take a month off or a week off or a day off, it's not going to make a big difference overall. So just relax a little bit and let that motivation come back to you naturally over time, because you're not going to be motivated all the time. And then on those days when you're not feeling like it, just do little things that you can manage, whether it's, for example, if you're trying to lose weight or get fit or healthy, just going for a walk and just getting some fresh air, and that being okay. So just be kind to yourself. Crumpets or scones? Ooh, I'm going to say scones because for some reason crumpets have been giving me stomachache the last year. So they are delicious, especially with, I found last year I put butter and then put some cinnamon on top. And apparently this is something that people know about, but I didn't know this. And it was amazing. But if you see my last video, you'll know that I put cinnamon on everything. So yeah. Let's have a look. Okay, that's a good question because I get this all the time. Is there a way to prevent excess skin or loose skin while losing 80 to 100 pounds? Guys, I get this question so much, and I have spoken about it in my body image video, and I actually did a post last night on Instagram about body image, because obviously it's such a major thing. And I like to be really real with people. If you're going to lose a significant amount of weight, the chances are you're probably going to have some loose skin. However, it's going to be different for everybody. And I personally have found that losing weight, obviously I had loose skin and I still have loose skin, but the more muscle I build, the less it's obvious. However, in certain positions, it is more obvious than others. So if I stand in front of you and just stand doing nothing, I would look like anyone else, just completely normal. But then if I was to get into like a push-up position or a plank position, you'd see that I have got loose skin. And yes, another one I get is my boobs. So if my boobs get smaller, they got so much smaller. Like they're tiny now in comparison to what they used to be like. But it's just part of it, unfortunately. I mean, I was overweight, I was unhealthy, and that's what I did to my body. And I lost weight. And now that's just what's left over. And I wouldn't change it for anything because I love my lifestyle now. Even being injured, I love my lifestyle now. I love training. I love being healthy. And it's just a part that comes with it. And to be honest with you, it's really strange because I never really noticed it at first. Like I never really paid attention to the fact I had it. And then I started getting questions on YouTube and Instagram. Oh, do you have loose skin? Do you have stretch marks? And then I really started to notice that I really do. And it made me more conscious of it. And don't get me wrong, I am super conscious of it, but I can't change it. And like I say, it's one of those things, like if I was just to stand here in front of you, you wouldn't notice it. It just looks completely normal. But it's just if I like pull my skin, it's much more elasticy. And like I've mentioned before, it's kind of like someone that might have had a baby and been pregnant and their skin's been stretched. You wouldn't know walking past them on the street, but you know, if you went to feel their stomach for some reason, you would notice the difference. So loose skin, it can happen. You can do some resistance training, grow some muscle, and it might reduce it a little bit more. Also losing weight in a nice, healthy, consistent manner rather than really, really quickly crash dieting and losing weight super quick is going to help, allowing your skin just to go back a little bit more normal. But it might just be there. But I really, really don't think it should ever put someone off wanting to lose weight, because you should be losing weight for your health and for your happiness in terms of if you're going to be living a healthier and more enjoyable lifestyle because you're more active and you have less disease or lifestyle disease, etc., etc. So don't let it put you off at all. And it's not as bad as you might think. Trust me. And also, no one really notices it. I mean, I always say this, we are our own biggest, we just notice our flaws so much. And people, I might say something to people and they're like, I never noticed that. Like, I can say to you guys now, I have my left leg is, I think it's like 1 inch wider than my right leg. And I've had this since I was born. And I bet none of you would notice. And every person I've ever met in my life that I've told them that has not noticed until I told them. And I've known some of those people for years. So again, we just notice things ourselves and we're very, very harsh on ourselves that other people just don't notice. All right, I've been talking away and I've missed so many questions. I wish my views were smaller. This is the thing. I saw a quote the other day on Instagram and it said, at the moment, it says something like, at the moment, there's someone in the world wishing and praying for something that you have. So be grateful for it. So there you go. For everyone that wants to lose weight, there's someone who wants to gain weight. For everyone that's got big boobs, someone wants to have your smaller boobs. Vice versa. I think I messed that up, but you guys get the point. Don't be so hard on yourselves. It's okay. Okay, let's have a look. What is my current injury? This is interesting because it's taken up such a massive portion of my life this year that I feel like I haven't shut up about it. Yet when I start talking about it, a lot of people wonder what I'm talking about. So basically, I've herniated a disc in my L5 disc. So like in my lower back here, I slipped a disc. So this happened in, I think it was like August, September time, something like that. Basically, I had a bit of a sore leg. I knew what it was sciatica, which is basically when something impinges on your sciatic nerve, which runs all the way down your leg on either side. I had a bit of mild sciatica and I decided to ignore it and just keep training on it. And I went hiking and all that sort of stuff. And then one morning I got out of bed and I basically couldn't walk. Like it was agonizing and I just cried. I literally couldn't move. I just couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, couldn't lie, nothing. I was just in so much pain. And I was in pain like that for probably the best part of 6 weeks, like in agonizing pain where I just couldn't even sit, like just the process of sitting down on a chair was so bad. If I wanted to go and eat my dinner, I'd go with my plate and it would take me at least 5 minutes to settle down and I'd still be in pain. So I couldn't really eat because all I was thinking about was pain. And I couldn't lie on the floor. I've got pictures of me just crying. I was just crying for days on end in so much agony. But the thing with these injuries is you just have to wait. There's nothing that can be done. So you just have to wait for it to recover. Obviously, I haven't trained. So I've done so little training for the last 6 months. And because of that, it's affected my mental, I wouldn't say it's affected my mental health, but I've definitely struggled. With it. And then also, obviously, it's affected my strength and my ability to train and my fitness. But I feel like I've made peace with it now. I'm definitely seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm seeing a fantastic osteopath. I had an MRI on the weekend and got my results. So they've confirmed that it is a slipped disc or a herniated disc, should I say, that's impinging on the sciatic nerve. So I just got to let it do its thing. And I just got to try and remain positive and do what I can to heal it, which is to do stretches, to avoid flexion. So basically I can't bend forward with straight legs. So it kind of makes some things really difficult. And that's probably why you've seen less exercise videos on YouTube and more just theory videos and me talking. So it might have been a little bit more boring, but I'm hoping in the future it will happen. And also I have been trying to get ebook number 2 out because I've been a lot of people who finished ebook number 1, bodyweight beginner, and they want to move on to the next one, which is going to be bodyweight intermediate. But unfortunately, because I'm injured, I haven't been able to take any pictures of any of the exercises, which is kind of annoying. So that's the only thing holding it up really at the moment. So I'm really sorry about that. Once my body is better, that's like one of the top things on my to-do list. My to-do list is very, very long. Okay, let's talk about business for a second then. So where to start when creating your online training business? Currently trying to start on my own and I'm getting overwhelmed. This is interesting. So I'm assuming you're talking about personal training and coaching rather than just like a general, like a business training course. I would have no clue. But it's probably the same advice that you'll read everywhere. And that is making sure that you niche down. So making sure that you know who you're targeting, who you're talking to, and somebody that you can relate to, which I think is really, really important as well. Secondly, obviously showing that you're passionate about it. You know, I'm really passionate about women's fat loss, and I'm really, really passionate about calisthenics. As you guys know, I basically don't shut up about it. So I find it very easy to talk about those things. And when I start talking to people about that, I get super, super excited. Like I can't shut up. So if you're passionate about what you're educating people on, and you're passionate about what you're building your business around, then that's going to help you a lot, because people will see that and they'll feel that. And then the next thing is obviously putting content out on social media, if that's what you're going to be doing, creating just a website. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. At the end of the day, people will work with you because of your knowledge and because of your personality and the relationship that you can build with them. And that's the most important thing. So working on that side of things is going to be more important than making sure you've got a super swish website or an app or all this sort of stuff. Obviously that stuff's nice to have, but it's really not the priority. And then just talk to people, really offer advice and discuss as much as possible, help people who are in your position or who you're training, who your niche is, your client, I don't like using that word, but who your client niche is, that sort of thing. And just give them advice. And the more you talk to people, the more you help people, that they will want some more help. So just keep doing that. And this is probably advice that you've already read somewhere. And I feel like I'm probably not the best person to give this advice. But I find it very easy to create relationships with people, because I think I have been in a position that I can relate to a lot of people in loads of different spectrums. So for me, that comes quite naturally. So just work on that, work on communicating with people, and people always will need help and need education. So don't be afraid to give some of that out for free and spend your time doing that. So super important. Okie dokie. Sorry guys, I'm like so far behind with all these questions. Did you find coconut oil helps your psoriasis? I can't say. I actually don't really know, to be honest with you. I used it for quite a long time. That, if you've watched my psoriasis video, I feel like I only scratched the surface on that video because there's just so much, but it was already half an hour long and it's crazy. When I went into UVB treatment and I came off the steroids, I started using coconut oil as like a natural replacement for moisturizer and for my steroid cream. And I found it very soothing, especially because I was having UVB treatments. It was kind of like burning my skin, which is not meant to happen, but it was kind of just sore for a day or two. I did use it on my face quite a bit, but it kind of blocked up my pores a lot and I started to get pimples and spots. So I think probably avoiding it on my face was a good idea. And this is just my experience. But I have a gigantic, I mean, I'm talking like this big pot of coconut oil in my room. So I do still use it every now and again. And I think it's one of those things, and this is what I found with my psoriasis and skin, is that you just have to try everything and just give it a red hot go, do it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then make a decision, because it seems like everyone's skin, everyone's condition is so different. And there's so many variables that there's going to be something that works for you and then something that works for someone else. You'll see that in the comments. People suggest loads of different things. And really it's about trying stuff and just seeing if it works for you, because eventually something will help. So that's really important. Okay. Going back a bit, would you consider doing a podcast, guys? Literally, it's ridiculous. I have filmed a podcast. I filmed the intro to the podcast. I filmed the actual podcast. I've got the artwork for the podcast, but I'm too scared to upload it. And this is something you should know about me, is that like I'm my own worst enemy. And I say this to you guys time and time again, like I suffer with imposter syndrome. I suffer with my own self-confidence. Like I can't take my own advice sometimes. And I don't see what other people see in myself. So I filmed this podcast and I've just been sitting on it, worrying about it. And I remember there was one, I mean, I've spoken about imposter syndrome so long. I mean, I don't know if anyone's followed me from the beginning. I'm assuming there's some people that have followed me on YouTube from when I put up my first video. And I put that video up, I put up the push-up video, and then I never posted another video for, I think, it was January I put those videos up, and I think it was the end of the year until I put the next one up. Was it a year or 2 years? I can't remember. But I was having breakdowns about it because people wanted me to put more videos up. And I was like, who am I to be doing this? Like, it's just me. I don't know anything. And eventually I just did it. I just was like, you know what, just put your big girl pants on and just upload a video. For God's sake, it might help someone. And obviously now I still tell myself that. And there was one podcast I listened to by the Mindset Mentor. His name is Rob Dahl Jr. And he did a podcast all about imposter syndrome. And he said basically to an effect, if you have some information or some knowledge or something that will help even one person in this world and you don't share it, then you're selfish. That's what he said, you're selfish. And I remember exactly where I was. I was walking in a field near my old home, and I was like, yeah, he's right. Like that one piece of information could be the difference between someone, and I'm not even joking, having a lifestyle illness or not, who has fallen into depression and doesn't know what to do, and then they see that and it changes. And I get messages like this a lot as well, and I was just like, oh, Lucy, of course, like, why do you care? Like, what are you so worried about? And it's crazy because this is all entirely down to me. This is what I put on myself. I am so lucky that every single person, everybody who follows me, who subscribed, who talks to me, is so kind to me. It actually genuinely blows my mind. And I feel so lucky that no one ever says anything bad. So this is entirely me being my own self-doubter and hating on myself. And so the same thing with the podcast. And do you want to know the real irony is for the podcast, I think I mentioned this podcast on my Instagram. I think it was back in June, July, sometime like that. I said, would anyone like one? And everyone was like, yep. I think over 1,000 people were like, yep, I want to see this podcast. It took me until about 6 weeks ago to get my microphone and actually film the podcast and edit it. And I've just sat on it ever since because I've been too scared to release it. And I remember thinking about this podcast for months, and I was like, what can I talk about? What can I talk about as the first episode? And so I actually said, I did the first episode all about analysis paralysis. I just saw Jacqueline wrote analysis paralysis. I literally wrote it all about procrastination, how to get started, why we don't get started, and just getting over it and just doing it and taking the first step. That's what I filmed the podcast about, recorded it, and I still haven't uploaded it. I mean, how ridiculous is that? So I will post the podcast. I will work it out. Let's see, tomorrow. I mean, I'm super busy right now, but I think I will promise you guys. If I promise you guys, then I'll have to do it. I will get it out by the end of this week. I will do it. And I will put a post up on my community tab and on Instagram so you guys know it's up there. I've got to challenge myself. It scares me. It really scares me. So, right, we're doing that. And the idea of the podcast was I was going to talk about all things like body image, mental health, physical health, weight loss, consistency, motivation, anything like that. And then also calisthenics. And then also I wanted to talk to just normal, real people, just like me, who have gone through transformations, through journeys, who have the same struggles, because we all do have the same struggles. Like I have the same struggles as you guys, trust me. And I think it would be as important. I don't really come across that many podcasts that just speak to normal, everyday people. Usually it's people that start businesses or they're celebrities or whatever it might be. And I thought that would be really nice. So that's my promise to you guys. I will do it this week. Hopefully it will be on Spotify. From what I know, I'm not a techie person, but from what I know, I can get it on Spotify and then Apple, and there's another one. I think there's like one whole server that you use. So that we will do. Someone asked before where I met my boyfriend. I met him on Tinder. I remember I was training one of my clients at the gym, and one of the best things about personal training is obviously the training aspect and the education, all that sort of stuff. And then there's like the personal aspect where you just get to have a relationship with someone who you connect with, and you can have chats and catch ups and share gossip and all this stuff. And every week she'd come in and she'd be on a Tinder date and she'd tell me how amazing it was. And she was like, Lucy, you need to get Tinder. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then eventually, after a couple of months, I was like, fine, let's just do it. So I did. And I met my boyfriend. There you go. And we've been together ever since. So good times. All right. How come you're living in the UK right now? When did you move? I moved last March. Yeah, February I left Australia and I came here in March because I went to America first. And there was a few reasons I moved. One of the big ones was family, because my family were coming back to the UK eventually as well. I am originally British, and my parents, it's very confusing, but my family were living in America. I was living in Australia since I was 18. I'm now 30. So I was there for the majority of my life, adult life. And I'm dual citizen as well, so I can go back and forth. And I came back to the UK, and I've been here ever since. And I mean, literally today, I was having the discussion about how much I missed Australia and how I sort of still an hour over where I should be and like where I should live. I just miss Melbourne a lot. And I know that I put a post up on Instagram if anyone follows me on there. And someone said to me that I put up a post about Laxer King, and so many people go to Laxer King and miss it. And I was like, yes, because Laxer King was the best. You used to have duck curry Laxer with plain roti or roti, however you say it, and Chinese tea. Oh gosh, it was amazing. It was the best. Oh, that's why I thought you're not British, your accent. It's funny because someone said to me on a comment on YouTube the other day, they were like, you've lost your Aussie accent, and it kind of cut me deep. I was like, really? I mean, I never had an Aussie accent, but I think I had a twang. I used to have that positive inflection at the end. Okay. How can you break late night eating habits? Guys, I wish I could tell you, because I still do. So I don't think you necessarily need to break these habits of eating late. There's nothing wrong with eating late at night or snacking on something late at night. It obviously completely depends on what your goals are. If your goal is weight loss, then you can eat late at night if you want. If it's not gonna cause any problem. Obviously, it's just calories in versus calories out. So just make up for that earlier on in the day. So have a smaller breakfast, or have less of a snack in the morning or in the lunchtime at times, whatever it is. Just leave your calories to the end of the day and still have that snack. Sometimes the more you restrict or the more you try to break habits that aren't really that bad, then it actually has a negative effect in the future. So just reduce maybe what you're having earlier on in the day and still have that snack. Or if you find that once you start snacking, you just can't stop, it might be about buying certain foods in. When you're trying to break a habit or form a habit, it's about building the environment to make that habit easier. So as an example, I was talking to a client the other day, and she was saying that we needed to work on reducing portion sizes. And that was all we were going to do for the calorie deficit side of it, was just reduce how much she was eating, not what she was eating or anything like that. So she said, the problem is I always go back for seconds after I've eaten. I said, right, no problem, but let's think about what we can do to build an environment in which that's harder to happen. So it could be that once you've finished cooking and you're about to serve up your food, you put your food that's what you would have for seconds, your extra food, and you store it and put it in the fridge straight away. So you can't go back and eat it, or you'd have to reheat it. Or you promised yourself after you finish your food, you're going to go and put your plate and your cutlery in the dishwasher or wash it up. And that doesn't stop you obviously from having seconds. It just puts that cue in place where it has that little bit of a break. So it's not saying don't have seconds, but it's saying go and wash your dishes before you do. And it kind of gives you that chance to have a think, do I really want seconds? Do I really need it? I'm not sure. It could be automatically going and making a cup of tea after you've eaten, and then waiting until you've drunk that cup of tea to decide whether you want seconds. So it can be different for everybody. Obviously, there's loads of different ways. If you struggle with portion control, then it could be having somebody else portion up your food and actually serve your food up for you. So if you've got a parent or a partner in the house and you always find that you just put so much rice or so much pasta on your plate, just say to someone else, right, can you please serve it up for me? And then maybe they'll put a bit of a smaller portion for you than yourself. Because if you're like me, I've got eyes bigger than my stomach. So my portions are the same size as my boyfriend's portions, yet he is 6'2" rugby playing giant and I am not. So yes, that's probably the best way to do it. So if you really feel like you do need to break or form a new habit, the best thing to do is build an environment around that. And if you want some reading to do about, I don't have it here, but if you want some reading to do about habits and behavior, James Clear has an Instagram account, but he wrote the book Atomic Habits. Fantastic book if you want to learn about little things that you can do. So it's really, really handy. Oh, what was that one? Oh, talking about water. Oh, I think I've missed the original question. Sorry. Let me know if you want to chat about it and I just rewrite it again. I've never been to Margaret River, but I've heard it's beautiful. Okay, so if you want to lose weight, how many meals per day is good to have? Okay, so that question, along with another question that I get all the time, which is a bit of it's a miscommunication in the world. So basically, let's chat. If you want to lose weight, how much you're eating and how many meals you're eating, what you're eating is not as relevant as potentially like how much you're eating. Or exercise wise, people often say, if I want to lose weight, what exercise do I need to do? The key thing with weight loss, and this really is a key thing, there's 3, maybe 4 things that you need to focus on. The first one being in a calorie deficit, and that comes mainly from nutrition. You can create a calorie deficit through exercise. It is very hard to out-train a poor diet. So if you're going to eat very high calorie foods and really packing the food and the calories that way, you're going to be training a lot to have to work that off and to put yourself in a deficit, which just means it's very exhausting and very hard to sustain. And that's the key thing, is sustainability and consistency. So you want to be in a calorie deficit, which is mainly going to be easiest through nutrition. So just reducing portion sizes, reducing snacks. You don't have to cut any foods out. You can if you want. I chose to, as you might have seen in my previous video, just switch out some things. I still eat chocolate. I still eat bread. I love it. Like literally, I love it. It's one of my favorite foods. You don't have to cut these things out, but just reducing how much you're eating of it. It's very, very easy. So do that. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Second one is move. So just move because it keeps you motivated. Usually if you've done some exercise, you're less likely to want to go and overeat, or you don't feel like you need to overeat. So it keeps you motivated. Plus, when you start to see progress in whatever it is, whether that's walking becomes easier, whether it's running becomes easier, whether you can finally do a push-up or whatever your goal is, once you start to see progress, that just pushes you to keep going, and that's fantastic. So calorie deficit, exercise, just something that you enjoy. There's no right or wrong exercise. We've spoken about this like quite a few times in terms of, I know how confusing it can be and how like debilitating it can be to be thinking which exercise is best. Should I do resistance training? Should I do HIIT training? Should I do running? What is the best? How many times should I be doing it? Don't worry about all that. What's key is that you can do exercise that you enjoy. It's going to keep you motivated, and you can do it consistently. Just keep going at it, because that's really, really important. The next one is consistency. I've mentioned it loads of times now. So calorie deficit, exercise, consistency. Just whatever you choose stuff that you can do consistently. So don't starve yourself. It's not going to work. You want to reduce whatever your calories are just slightly, just a little bit. You don't have to go crazy. And eventually, yes, you might have to cut them a little bit more. But to begin with, just do a little bit, and don't set yourself this expectation that within a week you're going to have noticed a difference. I always say to people who are clients, I say, what is your expectation for your weight loss or for your fitness or whatever it might be? And I usually get, this is interesting because I usually get the answer that's quite reasonable. So it might be like, oh, I expect 12 or 16 weeks. And I think that's a good time to aim for. I think if you can start to see that after 3 months, you've made some progress, that's a good number to aim for. So people often say that. And then what do I get? I get a message after 1 week saying, I've not lost any weight this week. It's not working. 1 week does not a diet make. 1 week does not a healthy lifestyle make. Trust me. And it's that whole thing. You've probably seen it a million times, that thing on Instagram. It goes around the internet where it says, it took 10 years to get to this stage. It's going to not take 3 weeks to get to this one, or whatever it is. And it's just so true. But don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying it's easy. It's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It's about making it as easy as possible. And it can be enjoyable. I think sometimes there can be this perception that for me it was easy, because like you see a 15-minute video of this was me beforehand. I did some exercise. I reduced my portions, and this is me now. But there was a lot of hard work along the way. And I did those things consistently through thick and thin, whether I was happy, whether I wasn't happy. And that's a whole nother thing, like talking about happiness after weight loss and all that sort of stuff. But I did these things consistently, and I did not stop. And I still manage those things. I still drink, wine. I still have chocolate buttons. I still have pizza and chips and whatever. I still treat myself, but I'm still mindful and aware of what I'm putting into my body and what I'm doing. That's all it is. It's just about balance. So there is no right exercise to do. There's no right amount of exercise to do. And there's no certain amount of meals that you need to eat per day. Just take what you're eating now and reduce it a little bit. That's all you have to do. Okay, let's talk about this one. So Katie, can you talk about happiness after weight loss? I don't know who on here follows me on Instagram, and do people treat you differently now? I don't really know, but basically, I put an Instagram poll out. So I love doing these polls on Instagram stories because it actually really challenges my beliefs about things in terms of fitness, health, weight loss, body image, and all that sort of stuff. Because obviously I have my own experiences, and I have the experiences that I see from clients in the gym, clients online, from talking to you guys, but I don't know what everyone's thinking. So it's interesting for me. And I did a huge one the other day about body image. So we were talking, does social media impact your body image views negatively or positively? Do you feel self-conscious in front of your family or friends, or do they make you feel self-conscious? Do you negatively think about your body, etc., etc.? And one of the questions was, if weight loss is your goal, do you think that losing weight will make you happy? And I've asked this question before as well, and I don't know if I feel shocked by the answer. I don't think I am shocked by the answer. I think Lucy circa 2020 is shocked by the answer, but Lucy circa 2015 is definitely not shocked by the answer, because I remember when I was overweight, looking in the mirror, crying every day about how I looked. I just said, I know, I'll just be happy when I'm skinny. Like, I hate using these words, but this is what I was thinking at the time. I'll be happy when I lose weight. I'll be happy when I'm skinny, all this sort of stuff. And honestly, being in the position now where I've lost a significant amount of weight, I would say I'm more critical of myself, and I'm much, much harder on myself now than I was before. And I don't know whether that's me looking back with a faded memory and not remembering it, and looking back with rose-tinted glasses, or what it is. And I just am so much harder on myself now than I ever was before. Now, that's not to say I'm not happy now, because I love my training. I love my lifestyle in terms of my job and the career that's come from obviously losing weight and getting into calisthenics and all that sort of stuff. I absolutely adore that, and it makes me so, so happy. But I'm not happier because my body looks different, that's for sure. I still get hung up on so much, and I try not to, and it's something that I'm constantly working on, but I do. And I do, again, I try to share this on Instagram. I try to share it in my videos as well. I'm just like everyone else. And I think, and the question I asked was, do you think people who share content on social media are concerned about their body or suffer with body image issues? And a lot of people vote, I think it was like 65% of people voted that yes, they do. And I would probably agree with that. I think a lot of people do. And it's very easy to hide that, or not to be obvious on social media. And I think it's really important that we know that everyone really does struggle with these things, and it is normal to struggle with these things. So I, in general, am happier now with my life than I was before I lost weight, but that happiness is not coming from the fact that I physically take up less space, if that makes sense. I don't think people treat me differently particularly, although I am a very different person personality-wise than I was previously. But again, I wouldn't necessarily put that down to the fact that I lost weight. I would put that down to, for example, my career and working in coaching and personal training, and even doing this on YouTube. Like I said, I really struggled with the confidence to put out these videos, and I still do, like I really do. But in the last year, I have grown a lot in that regard. And I think that is why I'm a different person, not because I lost weight. So yeah, I hope that helps, or that answers a little bit. I'm gonna have a sip of this wine. Oh, what was that one? Oh, that's another one. I dreamt the other night about having more room to do handstands in. I must be getting excited. Yeah, that sounds like me. I just love handstanding. Like, I'm so much happier when I'm upside down. I don't know who follows me on Instagram here, but I put up an Instagram story of me doing some handstands the other night because I've been injured for so long, I've not been able to handstand. And I was back in a place a couple of weeks ago where I've just been able to start getting back into handstands, sort of relatively pain-free. And I did them, and I put it on my Instagram stories, and I put up a little explanation to say sort of why I do handstands so much. And I think a massive one is, and again, I don't think this comes across very well on YouTube, because I'm very much like, I don't think people want to know much about my life. Like, I don't want to come across like I'm constantly whinging or like saying, oh, everything's so hard for me or whatever like that, because it's not what I believe. But I definitely struggle every single day with loads of things. And one of the things I struggle with is just the crazy amount of stuff that I do. I think to a lot of people, I just create one YouTube video where you can maybe put up some Instagram posts every now and again and some stories. And I know it can come across as that I have this fantastic lifestyle where I'm eating avocado toast and just doing handstands all day. But the reality is that I spend probably about 8-9 hours minimum a day on a computer, more like 16 hours sometimes of working a day, whether that's coaching, whether that's doing programming, whether it's filming, editing, working on the ebook, working on programs and coaching programs, doing website stuff, whatever it might be. And my brain just goes into complete overdrive, and I go to sleep and my brain's going 100 miles an hour and I'm grinding my teeth in my sleep, and I wake up at 4 a.m. and I can't get back to sleep. So I have to get up and work. And so for me, when I have something that forces me to switch my brain off, that's really useful. And handstands does that, because if you've tried doing handstands, it takes up, there's so many things to focus about, because like my hands are on the floor and you've got to think about balancing, you know, like when you think your hands are on the floor, you've got to think about them kind of as your feet. And we take it for granted, like our feet doing all the balancing for us. But let's imagine you're standing and you go to lean forwards. You start to automatically put some more pressure in your toes, which will counterbalance and push you back. You have to do the same thing with your fingers and your hands when you're balancing. And that's just the start of it. You've got your hands, you've got your wrists, you've got your forearms and your elbows, you've got your shoulders, you've got your serratus, you want a posterior pelvic tilt, you want a hollow body, you want to have your glutes squeezed, and the list goes on. You want your toes pointed. As soon as you forget about one thing, the other thing goes. And as soon as you take a breath, it goes as well. So you have to focus so much on what you're doing in the moment that you can't think about anything else. You have to be in the present moment. And that's really, really powerful for me. And that's also why I love bouldering. Again, if you've not been on, don't have me on Instagram, then you probably wouldn't have seen it much, but I love bouldering, which is a form of rock climbing without ropes. It's just low, nothing crazy, just about 3 meters high. And I love it because you have to be absorbed in what you're doing. You have to be thinking about the wall, the route you're taking, I've got hiccups, the route you're taking, and the fact that you're doing something right there that you have to be focused on, and you can't think about anything else, otherwise you'll probably end up falling. And I did fall once. I fell last year in March, April. I was at the top of a wall and I went to grab, and I kept like missing this handhold, and I went for one final one. And as I went to grab, I missed, but I let go with this hand and I just fell 3 meters down, and I landed. I put my hands out, which is the wrong thing to do. I put my hands out and I landed on the mat with my right hand, and my elbow snapped inwards. I'm so lucky I didn't break it, but I did hyperextend my elbow inwards. And so I had to have like KT tape strapped up on my shoulder and my elbow, and I couldn't bend my arm for about 3 months, which made teaching in the gym very, very hard. I couldn't do anything. Like shoulder press was a no, bench press, no. So that was interesting. Sorry guys, I'm just having a read through again about all the questions I've missed. I feel bad that I'm missing so many questions, but this is the other thing. This is kind of why I wanted to do this, because I get so many questions and messages and comments, and it blows my mind. And I sat in my lounge yesterday night, almost in tears, talking to my boyfriend about the fact that I feel so guilty, because to you guys, for you to take 1 minute, or what have we been on, 42 minutes out of your time to sit and listen to me, or to message me, or to write a comment on one of my videos, it actually blows my mind. I appreciate it. It helps me so much more than you could ever imagine. It really, really does. It changed, like, honestly, it really, really helps me. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I read all your messages and your comments, but I physically don't have the time in the day. I am literally just me. And I really want to get back to you guys, and I want to be able to help you guys, and I want to be able to talk to you guys as much as possible. But I mean, I haven't even messaged my mum back for 2 days. And I really struggle with that, and it plays on my conscience so much. So this is kind of why I wanted to do this, and I want to do this a bit more regularly, just so I can catch up with you guys and just give back a little bit more, because I feel like it plays on my conscience, and it makes me feel like a bad person, that it seems that I don't want to respond, or I'm ignoring it, or I don't appreciate it. And it means more than you could ever imagine. It really, really does. So I think it's also because I've been in the position before where I've messaged someone and they haven't messaged back, and it kind of just makes you think, do you care? All right, I've taken some time to say something nice to you, and yeah, you haven't written back. I just noticed one saying your mic is sort of crackling a bit. Is that happening with everyone? Because if it is, I'll just put my headphones in and we'll see if that works better. Just let me know in the comments if you guys are also having that problem, and I will put these in and we'll see if that helps. So, all right, questions. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a bit distracted. What do you think if you ate? Right, I get this question a lot as well. What do you do if you ate too much in a day, or if you think you've eaten too much today, or you've kind of indulged? Guys, I do it most days. I'm like literally, I'm having chocolate buttons, a glass of wine. What did I have? I had an egg bagel with like veggies and stuff for lunch. I've had a chocolate pot, which is like a plant-based chocolate pot. I've had multiple coffees, coconut latte today, and I've done nothing. I went for a walk this morning to go and get my coconut latte. And other than that, I've literally been programming all day on the sofa. And it is what it is. I'll make up for it tomorrow in terms of I'll get up and I'll just continue with my day as normal. I'm going to eat like exactly what I would normally eat tomorrow, and I'll go for a nice long walk in the morning and do what I can. And it's not about being hard on yourself. Again, you just have to give yourself a break sometimes. If you're doing it every single day and you're genuinely overindulging, or it's not even a good word, if you're genuinely eating more calories, but your goal is to lose weight, for example, then maybe again, looking at habit forming, creating an environment that's going to work better for you, and not having those foods in the house, or, I think a huge one for me is calorie banking, or like thinking about just being aware of what you're eating and how you're sort of separating it throughout the day, or how active you're being. So for example, if I've been really, really active, I've gone for a 5K, 7K, 10K walk, I've come home, I've done, like at the moment, obviously I can't really do much. So I might have done like a Pilates session or some stretching with some exercise. I know that I can probably eat a little bit more. So if I go and eat a couple bar, like a big bar of chocolate or something, I'm not going to feel bad about it, because A, nothing is going to happen. Nothing awful is going to happen overnight. And B, it's fine. Like, it's not going to cause any damage. If I had done absolutely nothing for the last week and every single day I had eaten more and more and more, and I was starting to feel unwell and it was making me feel negative about myself, then I would just stop doing that for a few days to sort of equal it out. Because it's not just day by day, you have to look at the bigger picture. You could look at it as a month, or as 3 months, or as a year if you really want to. You can eat not great for a year and then the next year eat well. So it's just about balance. If you're active, you can eat a little bit more. If you have a day where you eat a little bit less, then you can eat a bit more the next day. If you have less food in the morning, you can eat more at night. Your body is just simple in that way. And I think we often get caught up in overthinking it. Again, I'm a massive overthinker. Overthinking it, overcomplicating it. It's not as complicated as we think it is. So just don't worry about it too much. Like, just relax and balance it out. Just balance it out. I just want to talk about this one here. So we want to know loads about your life. One question: my boyfriend doesn't support me very much in my weight loss. Do you and your boyfriend do exercise together and eat the same? So let's just talk about the first part of that question, because I get that question quite a lot, is people who want to lose weight, or they want to get fit or stronger or whatever it might be, but their families don't help it, or they say negative things about it, or their friends or their boyfriend or their partner doesn't really support them, or makes it harder for them because they don't want to do that themselves. It's hard. Like, this is a hard thing to deal with. And it's very, very common, because obviously a lot of the time you're going to be cohabiting with somebody else. And so if you are, and you need to cook, and you're trying to eat less food, or you're trying to make healthier swaps, and that person isn't, it then comes down to sheer willpower on your side. And I'm not going to sort of sugarcoat it. It will come down to you wanting this more than wanting what they're doing. And it sucks, because you just want them to support you, you want them to care, but that you can't change someone, you can't change what they want or their habits. I've learned this the hard way. You just can't change someone. They're going to always do that. The only thing you can do is lead by example. So you have to know that what you're doing is what you really, really want. And then you have to just keep going towards that. When I lost weight, I lived with my partner at the time, and he wasn't losing weight. He just ate like a normal diet. But I learned ways to kind of get around that. I remember just being so determined this was my new lifestyle, that I was going to lose weight and that I was going to be healthy, that I didn't care. Like, he didn't do any exercise with me at all, ever. And even when I got into calisthenics years later, he hated it. Like, to drag him to the park would be like, he wouldn't want to go. And it's a bit like when you're around someone who doesn't want to do what you're doing, it's kind of like a bit of a party pooper kind of thing. So I would go on my own and I would just do it because I loved it. But with terms of eating and him not wanting to eat less or anything like that, I just found ways around it. And I think I very, very briefly mentioned it in my video, but I find, for example, if I was making a pasta dish, obviously I would give them more in terms of portion sizes, but if they were having pasta with Penang chicken, like the recipe in my video, then I would take out some of the pasta. I'd still have like a spoonful of pasta, but then I would put in loads of greens and broccoli for me. And I still do that now. So my boyfriend, he eats quite a lot of food. So when I cook, I definitely give him a lot more food. For example, if we're having spaghetti bolognese, pasta, and garlic bread, I'll still make all that and I will eat it, even though that's probably something I wouldn't usually have myself. But I would make that for us. And then I would give him like a massive bowl of pasta, a massive portion of the spaghetti, and he would get like 3/4 of the garlic bread. And then I will take the leftover garlic bread, 1 spoonful of the pasta, plus a little bit when I wash up that's left in the colander. And then I would just steam myself some broccoli and I would have it. So I'm still reducing the calories overall, but he's not getting impacted. I'm not getting impacted. In terms of exercise, I usually exercise on my own because my boyfriend at the moment, he's not really into the type of exercise that I'm into. So he plays rugby and he does like powerlifting. I'm into calisthenics and I go running sometimes and handstands and that sort of stuff, and he doesn't do that. So we just do our own thing. And I've made friends through the gym and through work and through YouTube and Instagram. And so sometimes I might go and hang out with them, but usually I'll just meet people in the gym who train the same way that I do, or I'll see people out and I'll start to get to know them. So I kind of do that. But again, I just have always just had to be hot-headed, like this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. And I usually have to do it on my own. And sometimes you're like, yeah, this sucks. But sometimes it can be quite nice because as soon as you take someone who doesn't want to be there, you realize how nice it is to actually want to have someone around you that does want it. So it's just better on your own. I hope that actually helps, because that's kind of like me just being, I feel like it was quite a negative answer, but it's just, I think it's just the realistic expectation of what it's like. But yeah, it can be really hard because obviously you want people to support you, you want people to be proud of you, you want people to be like getting into what you're into. And when they're not, it can be really hard. And I experience this a lot, and I know that I get a lot of questions asking, what do you do if you want to support your weight loss? And there was a lot of people, I keep meaning to make a video on this, like the downsides of losing weight, the negative aspects of it, because there are a few. And one of the ones that I experience a lot is like people being negative about it. And you hear this a lot, people going, oh, you've taken it too far, you've become obsessive and all this sort of stuff. And it's not a reflection on what you're doing. It's really not. It's a reflection more so on how they feel about it and maybe what they think their faults are or how they feel about themselves. So yeah. Yeah, there you go. So I get negative comments when I decline birthday cakes, sweets, etc. I just have to thank them for understanding. Do not apologize. Exactly. And I remember hearing someone, who was it? Jordan Syatt. He's a really good guy to follow on Instagram if you're into like losing weight or anything like that. He said, if you're in a situation where people always comment like you're obsessive or like you're ruining the fun because you don't want to eat cake or whatever it might be, then just tell them that you're doing a challenge right now. So like if you don't drink and you go to a party and they say, do you want to drink? And then you say, no, I don't. And they say something like, I'm actually just doing a challenge where I don't drink for a year or something like that. And they're usually a little bit more understanding. So that would be a good option potentially. The problem is people won't take you seriously when you want to be saying, yeah, it's true. A lot of people that think you won't be successful, you won't happen. And you just have to use that as like fire in your belly, fuel to your fire, prove them wrong. Cause that's kind of what I had to do. I was just like, yeah, well, I actually didn't tell anyone when I wanted to lose weight. I didn't tell anyone that I was losing weight, and my partner knew. But I didn't tell anyone I worked with, any of my family, anything like that. I just literally just did it. And eventually one day, I think it was probably like 3 months later, I was at work and a guy who worked for the company came in who hadn't been in for months. And he just looks at me and he mouthed to me, he's like, you've lost weight. And that was the first time, literally 3 months, anyone had said to me that I'd lost weight. So there we go. I did see somewhere that someone asked me to have a look at messages on the YouTube community tab. So let me see if I can bring it up quickly. But any other questions, drop them down below. Let me have a drink. Is this helping you guys? I hope you're enjoying this and that you're getting some value, because that is important. Okay, let's have a look. How to be in a calorie deficit without counting calories. Kind of touched on this, but just reduce portion sizes. You don't have to count calories. There's a hand guide if you want to use a hand guide. It's I can't remember what it's called. It's a company. I'll have to find it. Whoever wrote that comment, you can message me or comment somewhere, and I'll try and find it. But there was like a hand portioning guide. But otherwise, honestly, don't need to worry about counting calories. Just if you have a good idea of what you eat currently and what you snack on and your eating habits, just reduce that. It might be reducing a couple of snacks a day. It could be taking sugar out your coffee. It could be taking out your milky lattes for your black coffee, something like that. It could literally just be eating less on your plate, but it will work. So just do that. We do a bit of Cali stuff. Preventing injuries when training calisthenics. Oh yeah, so I hit my shoulder a few. Okay, so preventing injuries when you're doing calisthenics. Calisthenics can be quite injury prone. There's a lot of obviously hard work on your joints, and it's a lot of compound movements. So it's using your whole body rather than just isolating things. You don't really have the support of machines or anything to keep you on track. So really very multi-joint training style. It's going to be hard on your joints. When I started not even doing calisthenics, when I started doing HIIT to lose weight, I suffered a couple injuries. And to be honest with you, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I just trained through them. One of them was my wrist. I remember having it bandaged up for quite a long time, but basically it was like a wrist strain. So it is normal to feel a little bit of discomfort, but obviously there's a difference between discomfort when you're training and pain and injury. So you need to know the difference. If you are injured, you need to go and see someone and get a treatment plan and work towards that. So it could be seeing a physio, an osteo, chiro, or just a GP. But in terms of avoiding injury, obviously it's a normal one. So I am an advocate for trying things that you've not done before. So if you're trying to do a pistol squat, just try it, do it, but just be sensible, don't do something crazy. If you're doing handstands, I just tried it and I fell over a load of times, but don't stress about that. Just do it in an environment that you feel safe. Or if you really feel that you're not comfortable doing that, then just don't do it and just try and modify the exercise. But the key ones obviously are work on some mobility. There's some fantastic YouTube videos on mobility, so you can check those out. But also stretching and warming up properly more so. So doing some dynamic stretches beforehand and some activation work. I might be spitting out some words that you're not really sure on, but it's probably things that you already do. So dynamic stretching, that's just stretching whatever muscles you're going to be using, but moving at the same time, so not static. At the end, you probably want to do a bit more static stretching, just to prevent DOMS, like delayed onset muscle soreness. And then activation work, so just doing some activation on the muscles that you're going to be using as well. So if it's upper body, for example, just activating those muscles, just light weights, something like that, just to get them moving and get them warmed up and ready for the exercise. And you also get maximum out of the training as well. So I think that's the best way, just not attempting anything too crazy or having something in place to support you. So for example, if you're trying to do handstands, have someone there to spot you, or if you're trying to do pike push-ups or something like that, then make sure you put a pillow on your head if you're not confident or something like that. I think I've answered most of those in some other way. There was just one, I keep getting this question about mixing the workouts that I put up on YouTube. Whether that's okay. Yeah, totally okay. Like, just again, I'm an advocate for making it work for you and making it sustainable. So there's no right or wrong. If you want to mix up those workouts and do like a little circuit of your own, totally fine. That's not a problem at all. Just mix them up. The key thing is just to listen to your body. If you get to a day and you feel like you're absolutely exhausted, and your body is tired, then that might be telling you something. If you feel like you're never recovering from your workouts, your body's probably telling you something as well. So it could be that your nutrition's not quite right in terms of you might not be eating enough, or maybe protein as well. I don't want to confuse things, but it could be protein. It could just be that you're not eating enough, making sure that you're getting plenty of rest, stretching, that sort of stuff. Just look after your body, listen to your body, because your body will tell you when something's wrong, when something's off. That's the key thing, I suppose. It's hard when you're learning or when you're just starting out to know what to do, because there's so much information out there that there's just a million pieces of information out there. But your body is very, very smart and very, very efficient. So it will tell you if something is wrong. So make sure you listen to it. Okay, mic's cracking again. Oh, I don't know whether to put my headphones in or not. I feel like I might ruin this. Should we try? I'll try it and see. Just give me a second, guys. You have to let me know if it's any better. Just going to connect these. Okay, is that better? Can someone let me know? Or is it worse? Maybe it's worse if no one's writing. Yeah, they're in now. Okay, I'm going to go with these for a little while and then you can let me know as we go. I saw one question saying, what does my boyfriend do? Is he a personal trainer? No, he's not a personal trainer. My boyfriend's a graphic designer, a freelance graphic designer. So he works on computers, but he plays rugby as well. So yeah, if you ever need anything graphic designing, he's your guy. Although, believe it or not, I do all my own stuff. So I should probably get him to work really, shouldn't I? Are there any techniques that will help with core strength? So yeah, just core training, being sensible with your core exercises, working on your breathing. It can be really helpful as well when you're doing exercise. Really, any exercise that you're doing should have a strong core and should be focusing on having a really strong core. So when someone says brace your core or says like strengthen your core, keep your core tight, whatever, you hear these terms thrown around all the time. Okay, cool. So music sounds fine. Great. Right, yeah. When someone says brace your core, what they're talking about, the way I like to say it is, imagine someone's going to come punch you in the stomach and you're going to brace your core really tight. That is what you want to be doing through every single exercise. So really, really bracing your core tight. Another way to think about it, it's not quite as nice, is that if you were going to go and have a poo and you were trying to squeeze it out, that kind of feeling, like you're really squeezing your core super tight, you should be aiming to do that through every single exercise. So, I mean, you'll probably remember that one now. This is not going to be easy to begin with. Like, it definitely is not an easy thing to learn. But over time, the more you do it, the easier it will become. So just focus on that when you're doing exercise, and you'll notice that your core starts to become stronger because you're bracing it through every single exercise. It's really important to have a strong core. So, you know, when we talk about having visible abs and training and losing belly fat and all that sort of stuff, people say, no, you don't need to do core exercises for that because it's not going to give you abs. No, it's not. But core exercises are so important to keep your whole body strong, okay? Because obviously your core is what's holding you upright, and it helps you prevent injury. I can attest to that, obviously, with my back injury. So it's really, really important that you have a strong core. So that, and then obviously doing some core exercises. I like to put core exercises at the end of my workout. So I always just do like a little bit of core towards the end. And you don't have to go anything too fancy. You can just keep it nice and simple. Planks, side planks, oblique work, dead bugs are fantastic. Just anything really. Hollow body holds, if you can get to that point, such a good exercise. Hard, but really, really beneficial. So that's good. Thanks, Phoebe. Have a good night. I saw one. How often should you do weight training per week for rock climbing? Weight training, it depends obviously if you're a beginner or whether you've been training for a while, or if you're new to weights but you've been training. I would say a good time to aim for 3 sessions a week is a good place to start. It's sustainable to start with. You can do 3 full body sessions a week, or you could do a split. You could do a push pull and a lower body session, add some core into your lower body one, or whatever you want. There's really no right or wrong again. If you're just training for general strength and you're trying to get a little bit stronger for rock climbing, then I would say a good place to start is 3 times per week. You can always add an extra session for 4 and then maybe put a cardio day in as well. But you can also get some hanging work in there for your climbing as well, which is obviously super important. So it'll be a lot of upper body with climbing, because obviously you want that upper body strength, but you don't really want to be too heavy muscle wise for climbing if that was like your main focus. So yeah, just 3 to 4 times a week, I would say. Bye, Anna. Thank you so much. Vacuum. I think I know what you mean, but yeah, vacuum for core can be really good. I have never done it, but yeah, it can be really good. Can you talk about sugar, please? Is it good or bad? What do you said? There's nothing wrong with sugar. I think this is the thing, is that people think that sugar's bad. It's probably more the quality of the sugar, for example. So if you want to look at good versus bad sugar, you've got like natural sugars, things like fructose that's in fruit, and then you've got the unnatural sugars, things that you'll find in like chocolate, like the chocolate buttons I was eating earlier. If you want to, you do not have to cut sugar out your diet. There's nothing wrong with having sugar at all. But if you want to make a note of what you're eating, then potentially just lean towards the the more natural sugars, so fructose. You do not have to cut sugar out. Obviously, it's just a little bit higher in calorie content than some other foods. So you might just be aware of that if you're trying to reduce how many calories you're eating, but you do not need to cut sugar out of the diet. There's nothing wrong with sugar at all. I personally don't eat a huge amount of sugar. I do eat some, like obviously I've had chocolate and some wine, but I don't eat sugar because of my skin. I find that it really affects my psoriasis. There's no problem with it otherwise. I've been working out for almost a few months now, and I'm still not sure if I'm engaging my core. I think if you're not sure still, probably the best thing to do is try and get a trainer involved, or try to get someone if you go to a gym or something like that, and just get them to help you physically, because without assessment, it can be quite hard to tell. But if you're doing those things that I mentioned, where you feel like you're bracing your core, imagine someone's going to come punch you and you're squeezing really hard, again, just keep practicing it, and over time it will get easier. But if you get to a point where you're still not sure, then I reckon just try and get someone who's a professional involved, and they'll be able to let you know whether you're doing the right thing. I'm just going to have a quick check of some questions that I wrote down. So one was how to get rid of problem areas. I get this question a lot. How to get rid of belly fat, how to get rid of arm fat, how to get rid of hip dips, how to get rid of thigh fat. You can't spot reduce fat. You can reduce overall body fat, but you can't reduce fat in a certain area. So if you carry fat around your waist, or whether you carry fat around your hips or your thighs, there's really very little you can do to change the distribution of fat in your body. And as I say, Sod's law, that if you start to lose weight, it'll probably come from where you don't want it to come from first. I hold a lot of weight around my hips, around my butt, around my thighs, and I really wanted it to come from there first, and I swear to God, I still have it there. So it's just one of those things. But reduce overall body fat, and eventually it will come to there. Once you get to a low enough body fat, then you can start training those areas a little bit more, and you can increase the muscle, which will increase what most people would term tone, but doesn't really exist. That is basically building lean muscle mass. So building muscle mass, but reducing fat as well. So then you see the appearance of the muscles come up a little bit more. So spot reducing fat doesn't exist. Just doesn't exist. I get this question so much. I totally get it, because I used to believe it too, but you can't do it. Unfortunately, you cannot do it. Training through an injury. This is something I wanted to talk about on one of my podcasts, because it's something that's playing in my mind a lot. I nearly went on a whole thing on Instagram stories, and I decided not to do it. But we're talking about, I saw a podcast, like a short snippet of a podcast the other day on someone's Instagram stories. And it was, I have no idea what the context was, but it was a girl talking to a guy. I think he was a coach. And she said something like, he couldn't exercise because he was too tired, or he didn't have enough energy. And the guy she was speaking to just went, no, you're wrong. You always have the ability to do something. You always have the ability to do some type of training, some exercise, no matter what the situation. And it got me thinking. It really did get me thinking. So as a trainer, I hear this a lot. You hear, I guess we could call them excuses. I use excuses sometimes. And it got me thinking, like, do I use excuses? Do I play off certain things as excuses? So, I hear the most crazy stuff saying why people can't do exercise, or why they can't eat differently, or whatever it might be. So as a trainer, it seems that way. It seems like, there is something that you can always do. But as a person, as someone who trains, and who's someone who's been injured for the last 6 months, it's a very different story, because the motivation comes into it, and the self-worth comes into it, and the energy comes into it. And physically, there's been, yes, sometimes that I've been able to do stuff that's modified, or it might be a little bit painful to do, but I could technically still do something, but I've chosen not to, because the mental pain and the mental, just the amount of energy that it would take for me to go and do that training or that workout is just too much for me to be bothered. So it was an interesting thing, is like, am I using this as an excuse? Am I using this injury as an excuse not to do anything? Because I know it's going to physically and mentally, it's going to benefit me to do exercise or to move in some way. But I just don't want to. I just don't want to, because it's painful, and because I feel, I guess, a little bit of ego comes into it. Like, why should I be doing stuff that's so simple? Like, literally all I could do was walk, and even that was hard. Walking up a flight of stairs was hard. And so I don't know, it really messed with my brain. And I was talking to loads of people about this, about accountability, and about what where motivation comes into it and where consistency comes into it. And I think training through an injury or training through hard times or low levels of motivation is really hard. So as a trainer, obviously I can spout out this information saying, just do it. You know, you've got to just do it, take one step forward. But as a person, I know that's not always the case. So I think the key thing is to do what you can. And to, again, like we went right back to the first thing we spoke about, just take baby steps, small baby steps, little things, look at the progress that you've made. So, you know, yes, I might not be able to go and sprint right now. I might not be able to go do pull-ups anymore, but I can still do some stuff. You know, I could still do shoulder press, or I can still go for a walk or something like that. So just do that. And that has to be enough. And look at the progress that you've made in that regard. So like the last 6 months, I've gone from not being able to move, not being able to walk, to being able to kind of go for a 5K run every now and again. So, you know, interesting. Would you recommend HIIT? Question, would you recommend HIIT or something like Zumba, dancing, running? It depends what your goal is. Honestly, just do something that you enjoy. Honestly, just do something that you enjoy. There's no need to do something that you don't like. So just do something that you actually want to do. I don't know if anyone's getting bored of like exercise stuff now, or if you guys are still enjoying the health and fitness topics. Let's see. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm going to scroll through some of the questions that I've probably missed. Trying to think if there was some other stuff that I wanted to talk about with you guys. I'm sure there's like a million and one things that as soon as I get off here, I'll be like, oh, I should have spoken about. I mean, is everyone enjoying this? I hope that you guys are. Yeah, I always think of so many interesting questions to ask people. Yes, this is an interesting question. Do you know how women can train and eat according to their menstrual cycle? It's confusing. I'm going to do potentially a video about this, but a Instagram post at some point, because I get a lot of questions about people's menstrual cycles and periods and all that sort of stuff, and how it can affect motivation, energy, eating, and it really does. Like, these things are true. So it's just about understanding your cycle and understanding what phase you're in, and then you can work on understanding basically what's going on with your body, and then it makes you feel a little bit better, because there'll be a time of the month where you get to a point where you're feeling really weak and your training doesn't feel as good. I mean, when I do handstands, when I get into my luteal phase, I can't even balance in a handstand some days. It's really bizarre. And my pull-ups are really, really bad. So I know, usually I'm like, oh gosh, I'm having a really bad training day. What's wrong with me? And then I realize that I'm in my luteal phase, and that's what it is. Of course, a couple of days before you get your period, usually you crave carbs and high carb foods. And that again is normal. I actually had a client recently who, she messaged me, she's like, I'm just craving carbs and I just can't stop, and I can't stop this craving and I don't want to cave into it. And I was like, any chance you're getting your period soon? And then she messaged, she's like, yeah, I'm due. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So I will do a post about this. I potentially do a video if you guys are interested as well, because I know obviously it affects so many people. And obviously most of my following is female, like 93% female. So I can do that. The cats aren't here right now. They're at my, yeah, I miss them a lot, but they're like at my parents' place right now. So anyone who follows me on Instagram will know, oh no, he's been on YouTube as well, Alfie. Alfie, Orca, Oscar, and the dog Pip are all at my parents' place right now, just because I'm in this flat. And they have a bit of a better lifestyle over there at the moment. So they're not here, but I miss them so much. Okay, we're going to do it. Have you lost your way on bad news, and how did you get back on course? Yeah, so definitely. I don't know if I had bad news per se. I've briefly mentioned this in maybe a vlog. Yeah, a vlog, I think, something like that. But let's go back. So I lost weight and then came back to England eventually. And then this was in 2015, I think. And then I got depression and I got anxiety. And so, yeah, this is probably something that you've probably not seen a huge amount about, but I'm more than happy to talk about. But yeah, basically I got depression and anxiety. And then in that, I've had that for about 6 months in the UK, and then I moved back to Australia to go to university, and I still struggled with that. And I ended up struggling with the depression eventually subsided. I think after probably I'd had it for about a year and a half in total, but the anxiety stayed around for about three years. I struggled. I had panic attacks and really bad anxiety. And during that time, all I wanted to do was just nothing. Like, I didn't want to exercise. I didn't want to walk. I just wanted to sit in a room and stare at a wall, and that was it. It was really bad. And I think through that time, I think I gained, I don't know, like 10 kilos back. So I would have mentioned this in my original video, but yeah, I gained about 10 kilos back. And then I went and worked in a job where I was working night shifts, and I was at uni and all that sort of stuff. So I ended up eating quite a lot of food. I think I gained a couple more kilos. And so yeah, totally off track. I didn't do anything. And then that is when I set that New Year's resolution to do the chin up, which was like the next year. And then that's kind of when I fell into the I fell into the hole of calisthenics, and I just fell in love with the style of training. I don't know if maybe I hadn't done that. I don't know where I would be in that regard. I was just at that point, until I got the depression, I was just doing a bit of running and doing my HIIT videos. And to be honest with you, it was getting quite boring by that point, because I was just doing the same thing. I literally still can remember all the moves, like in a row. So I was getting pretty bored of it by that point. But when I got into calisthenics, that kind of just changed everything. And, that's not necessarily what got me out of the depression and anxiety. That's a whole nother story. But definitely calisthenics got me out of the rut of like having lost I didn't lose progress in my training or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely put on weight from where I had been, and my fitness was really, really poor. And so yeah, I just started working on something that I really enjoyed, and eventually obviously started to get back on track again. So yeah, but in terms of anxiety and depression, it just took a hell of a lot of hard work in terms of just digging deep and trying to overcome it. I mean, it's something that I'm happy to talk about in more detail if anyone has any questions. But yeah, I saw a psychologist for like 3 years, because I remember I was having these panic attacks, and then one day I had a panic attack and I couldn't go to work, and they said, you need to get a doctor's certificate. So I went to a doctor that I hadn't been to before, because they were the only one that was open that day. And she said to me, have you seen a psychologist? And I said, no, I've never taken the referral. And she said, you will never get better until you see one. And so they put me in touch with one, and I started seeing him, and it was probably the best thing I've ever done. One of the best things I've ever done, because it wasn't that he didn't click his fingers and fix it, but he definitely taught me a lot and made me think more about kind of why I was feeling certain ways and stuff like that. So yeah, that was kind of related to that. Do you do the flag? I've had this question a lot recently. No, I really want to. I was training for it. So before I got injured, I was training for muscle up, for press handstand. This has been literally my New Year's resolution for, I think, 3 years, and I've never got it. So flag would be one of them. Muscle up is definitely another, and then press handstand. Now, I think we're going to have to make this a 2021 goal, because there's no way I'm going to achieve it by now because I'm still injured. But let's do this. I'm going to do flag. I was about to say I'm going to at least do tuck flag, and if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it's a calisthenics move. So a human flag is where you hold onto a pole, which is vertical, and then you come out like a flag. So your feet would be like that, and you literally, you're defying gravity because your arms are straight and you're literally like a flag. So that's a flag. A press handstand you would have probably seen, which is when people start on the floor, have their hands on the floor, and then just press. It's a lot of core strength, but you just press up and you just float up very gracefully into a handstand. And a muscle up is when you do a pull up on a bar, and then once you get to this phase, you kind of come up above the bar and push yourself up, so you end up with the bar where your hips is. So they are my 3 goals. This is going to be a hard grind if I want to achieve this by the end of 2021, but fingers crossed the injury recovery goes well, and by 2021 January, I can start training properly again. Then I can document it on YouTube. I was also thinking about teaching my boyfriend how to handstand, and I was wondering if anyone would be interested in that. I think it would be quite amusing, and even he was kind of keen on it. So he's been saying for a while he wants to learn how to handstand. So if you are interested, I will maybe roll those into a couple of different videos, and we can put them in. Also, I'm deliberating over this whole vlog thing. I did a few vlogs, and then I basically have, again, going back to this kind of podcast mentality, I've been filming nonstop for vlog content, and I have been doing loads of stuff, and I literally have been sitting on hours worth of content and not putting it up on YouTube. And I just don't know why. I don't know. So if you want me to put vlogs up, just let me know, because it's just really covering kind of what I eat in a day, my general activity, just chatting about stuff like this. You can see kind of like the workouts I'm doing at home, and just, I guess it gives me a chance to come up, like, give you a bit more of my personality and connect with you guys a little bit more on like a personal level. Because I feel sometimes it can come across as a bit like business-like. So yeah, just let me know if you're interested in the vlogs, and maybe I could actually roll that in with the boyfriend thing as well. So if he would be happy to do that. There was something that I wanted to talk about. Oh, that's a cool little tip. I wonder what, I'll have to have a look at that TED Talk. Thank you, Cheryl. I'll check it out and see about it. Some really good TED Talks, actually. I love TED Talks. So if you've never watched them, check them out. Like, you can download the app. I used to watch them on the train on the way to work. As long as he's a good sport, then yes, the boyfriend. I don't know if he's a good sport. He's a very good excuse maker, I think. I mean, I love him dearly, but he'll just be like, I can't do it because my shoulder's sore or something like that. So we'll see. I'm just trying to think of stuff that's like more on a personal thing that we could chat about. I don't know, like if there's any questions you have relating to anything that you guys struggle with, and you just wonder, like, does anyone else struggle with these things? Does anyone else think about these things? Because I think a lot. I think too much. Honestly, I never stop talking and thinking about things. Like, what was I thinking about today? So I was deliberating over this whole, should I live in Australia, should I live in England thing? And then I was thinking about when I lived in Australia. And I do remember there was times where I was like stressed, super stressed, because I was at uni and I was working 2 jobs, and I was literally nonstop for 17 hours a day. Sometimes I was getting like 3 or 4 hours sleep, and then it was nuts. But I look back and I just see it really positively. I see all those times as really positive. And I remember I struggled with my skin so bad, and it used to really hurt, and it used to make me cry so much. And I look back and I don't remember all that. And then it's just interesting. And then I think the struggles that I'm going through now, or the things that I struggle with now, in 5 years' time, will I even remember them? I don't know. Like, will I be thinking about them? Will I just look at this time as really, really positive? Because of course it is positive, but every day there's something that I'm upset about, or I'm worried about, or I'm stressed about. It's interesting. I just saw a comment saying, I struggle with perfectionism. And this is something that I think a lot of people do. I do too, a lot. And that's why is that sort of whole thing of imposter syndrome, and it's all rolled into one, really, just thinking that everything has to be perfect. And the thing is, I think what I often come back to, and I think I've tried to teach myself a lot over the last year, is that we really are, and I spoke of this before, but we are really our own worst critics. Like, we really do think so harshly of ourselves often. And I think some of the stuff that we notice in ourselves, we wouldn't even notice in other people. Like, we really just wouldn't, or we just don't care. I struggle with perfectionism in work. You know, like, I notice all the little things that I do wrong in my work, you know, and of course everyone has imperfections in what they do. You know, if there's a video that I put up and there's something wrong with it, or if I do some programming and there's like a mistake in it, or if I write an email and I write a typo, or whatever it might be, I'm like, oh God, it's just so bad. But people don't really care, because no one is perfect. I think this is the key thing. And then in terms of body image, of course, again, it's like this whole idea of being perfect and not having any flaws. And it's so unrealistic. You know, you think, oh, I'm the only person who's got stretch marks, I'm the only person who's got cellulite. It's so not true. And I am so inherently aware of these things on me. I don't want to call them flaws, because I feel like that gives them a negative connotation, and they're not, they're just normal. But I'm so aware of these things. But I remember asking my boyfriend when I did the body image video, I remember saying to him, like, what's your perspective from a guy's perspective? What's your perspective on these things, like on cellulite or on loose skin or stretch marks and all that sort of stuff? And he's like, I don't really notice. He's like, I have, you know, stretch marks. Like, every guy I've met has got stretch marks. Like, it's normal for them as well. Yet we're so hard on ourselves. And so I think the thing to remember is that we are just our own worst critics. Like, genuinely, we really are our own worst critics. And so things that we notice on ourselves and we're really hard about is that stuff that people wouldn't even notice in us. Like I was mentioning about my leg being bigger than the other, like, you guys probably wouldn't even notice if I hadn't told you. So Yeah. You said that you were moving a lot, and I wish to finish my master's degree outside my country, but I'm terrified to move. Any tips? It can be scary. It can be scary. I think I was very fortunate in the fact that I was brought up moving around a lot. And I went to a lot of schools and that sort of stuff. So I was very used to moving around. So it doesn't scare me as much. However, the older I get, the more risk adverse I get. So I don't want to move around as much. But I am a huge advocate for doing that. Like, just do it. You know, like, you only live once. You've got, I mean, again, I'm like, I can't take my own advice, but you only live once. Go and do it, explore. Nothing is irreversible. If you go and you hate it and you don't enjoy it and you think you made a massive mistake, you can come home. Like, there's nothing wrong. And if you want to go and do your master's, you know, how long is that going to take you? 1, maybe 2 years at most. And it might be the best thing you've ever done. And you certainly don't want to be in a position where you regret not doing something. So why not just do it? Because, like I say, anything is reversible, you know, so you can just always change it. I also saw a question. Do you think Couch to 5K would be good along with healthy eating? I'd like to lose 4 pounds. So just on its own, Couch to 5K, I think personally is a fantastic app. I think it's so good. And to be honest with you, I've worked with so many clients that have used it like privately on their own, and they've done so well with it. I actually used it way before I lost weight, like way before I lost weight. I used it and I think it got up to 3K on it. And then I think I just gave up. But everyone I know who's used it has done well. So I think Couch to 5K on its own is really fantastic. If you want to lose 40 pounds, the key thing is going to be nutrition. So just being in that calorie deficit. So just eat a little bit less and then do your Couch to 5K, because that progress that you'll be seeing in your running feels really good. And of course, it's going to help burn calories, but the more so, it's going to keep you motivated and it's going to be good for your cardiovascular system. It's going to start to build a bit of muscle and that sort of stuff. So just to get you moving, get you outside and keep you motivated, it's going to be fantastic. Obviously, it's going to be beneficial if you can start to run further as well, just because it feels good. And it's really good for your mindset as well. And then 40 pounds, if you want to lose it, just start working on reducing portions, snacks, or if you really want to track your calories, you can. What do I have to do in Australia? Oh, what do I absolutely have to do in Australia? Planning a huge trip there in the next few years with my boyfriend. Depends what you're into. I'll tell you what, the best thing I ever did in Australia, this is the best thing I ever did in Australia. I went to the Gold Coast, and I mean, I love the Gold Coast so much. But I went to the Gold Coast and I, on a whim, booked a jet ski safari. It was like a 4-hour long jet ski safari. It was pretty pricey at the time, but we just did it on a whim. And honestly, it was the best thing I ever did. It was like, went through so many different types, went over the ocean, went through the mangroves, went to this little private island, went to Millionaire's Cove. There was, at one point, they told us to turn off the jet skis, and there was dolphins swimming right by our feet. And of course, on a jet ski, your feet are basically in the water. I'd never been on a jet ski before. It was amazing. And yes, this was before I lost weight as well. So it was the coolest thing. Take sunscreen though, because I got really badly burned, really badly burned. So that was awesome. So I think if you can visit the Gold Coast, that's fantastic. Because I feel like the Gold Coast is quite an authentic Aussie place to go in terms of like what people traditionally think of as Aussie. I think this is a bit out there, but Adelaide is a really cool place to visit. I love Adelaide. Like, I've been there a couple of times, and it is the most amazing city. I had the best burger in Adelaide. Gosh, I can't remember where it was from, but it was half kangaroo, I think. It was so good. If you Google like the best burger in Adelaide, it was like one of the top ones, and it was unreal. So yeah, go and check that out. Let's have a look. Have you visited the United States? I have been to the United States loads of times. I've been to Texas, I've been to Indiana, I've been to Las Vegas heaps of times. It's like my second home. I've been to LA, I've been to San Francisco, I've been to Florida, I've been to New York. Where else have I been? I think that's pretty much it. I think that's it. Yeah, I've been loads. I go there quite often. My parents were living there until this year. Sorry, they were living there, and I went out to visit them quite often. It's just kind of a really good excuse for a holiday. So like Las Vegas was basically my second home, and I absolutely love Las Vegas so much. It's so cool. If you've not been to Las Vegas, it's got the most unreal scenery, like unreal. I mean, aside from the Strip, like the Strip's nice to see, but such cool hiking around there and so many cool outdoor sports you can do, rock climbing and all that sort of stuff. It is unreal. So yeah, and Las Vegas is amazing. I love the States. I think it's an awesome place. New York's probably my favorite place I visited. I went to Manhattan for 2 weeks, and that was like a dream come true, but it was so cool. I had the best memories from New York, and that was really good. And then my brother lives in Indiana, so I went over there for his wedding. And obviously I can't travel at the moment, but definitely be going back there to America. In fact, I actually did have a trip planned to America in May that just gone, but obviously it got cancelled due to COVID, and it was me and my boyfriend. We were going to go to Las Vegas. All the flights were booked and everything. We were going to Las Vegas. We were going to go hiking in the Grand Canyon down to Phantom Ranch and then come back up. We were going to go hiking in Zion and go to Angel's Landing and do the Narrows as well. Of course, it got cancelled, which was a bit sad, but it is what it is. And I'm sure it will still be there in, 10 years or so, whenever I can travel next. I haven't been to Canada though, no, and I really, really want to go. There's so many places I want to go into Canada. I've heard so many good things. The food looks amazing, the coffee looks amazing. So I want to go to, obviously, everywhere like Toronto. I want to go to Vancouver. I really want to go to the Rockies. I'd love to go to Banff as well. I think I need to learn how to ski or something. I want to learn how to snowboard, so maybe I'll do that before I go to Banff, and then I can actually do that in winter. Do I like traveling? Yeah, I love traveling. Although, that being said, I've not really been to anywhere that doesn't speak English as a first language. I'd love to go to more of those countries as well. So I've traveled a lot, moved to a lot of places, lived in a lot of countries, but I haven't really had a chance to go, for example, to Asia, to Africa, South America. I haven't really been anywhere like that. So I would love an opportunity to. I will definitely get around to it, but I do no traveling at the moment. I do want to go to India. Yes, I have a friend. I talk about him a lot, Kirsten Varela. He owns a Cali Park in Mumbai, and I have always been fascinated with India. I've never obviously been, but it looks stunning, and I think it would just be such an interesting experience. Plus the food looks unreal, so I would definitely like to go, and I will one day go. Shrewsbury, no, I've not been to the outdoor. I haven't been to Shrewsbury for a long time, but if you're intimidated to use the outdoor gym, don't stress. I think if this goes for any gym in general, if you're intimidated to use gym, and let me just preface this with the fact that I still get nervous going into gyms that I'm not used to or that I've not been to before. Trust me, I really do. Like, all the equipment in every single gym is different. So, one leg press in one gym is different to another leg press in another. So you always feel that nerves of going in and someone watching you be like, does she even know how to set the weights up or something like that? You don't know where stuff is orientated or where stuff is. It's quite daunting, but a few key things to do. You could either go in with a friend, so you kind of have that backup, which is always a nice thing to do, but I don't really know a huge amount of people where I live. So I tend to go in when it's quiet. So like if you join a gym, if you know it's going to be quiet really early in the morning, then one day just go in really early, orientate yourself, get to know it. You can play around with the equipment so you know what you like, what you enjoy, how to use it, that sort of stuff. And then you'll feel more and more comfortable when you start to go back in. Another thing, obviously, get a personal trainer if you can afford it and if you think it's going to benefit you, because then having that person there to like write your programs, to follow your progress, track your progress, and obviously just support you and be standing there with you and set all the equipment up for you is really, really helpful. Another thing to do is get to know gym staff, because obviously I worked in a gym. I got to know loads of the members of the gym, and it's just not, first of all, it's just nice to have people around that you recognize, that you can talk to. But it just makes you feel a bit more comfortable when you know the staff. And if you don't know something, then you feel like you can approach them and ask them something. So obviously with an outdoor park, they don't have gym staff or anything like that. So I would suggest going when it's quiet and getting used to using it. But as soon as you start to meet people or like you start to chat to people, especially with outdoor parks and like calisthenics kind of equipment, people are very, very happy to talk to you and to help you and support you. So don't stress about that at all. Just go for it, and you'll slow. Trust me, like, I'm super nervous about these things, and I was so stressed when I went to the first Cali Park ever in Melbourne. I was so nervous. I went on my own, and it was totally fine after a while. I absolutely loved it. So I think I still got a little bit nervous, but yeah, it was okay. I saw someone saying, "How cold is it here?" I actually don't know how cold it is. It's like puffer jacket weather. Like you need to wear a jacket when you go outside, but it gets dark so early. Like it gets dark at 4 p.m. Really, really early. There we go. I didn't start going to the gym until I lost 153 pounds. I regret not going sooner. I love my gym. There you go. So for a lot of people, once you get comfortable, it's so good and you really enjoy it. And I think another thing after working in a gym, especially, you start to realize that people just don't care. Again, we just think people care, but people just don't pay attention. A lot of people are too worried about what they're thinking themselves or about themselves or what they're doing than to look at other people. And honestly, as a person going into the gym, or like working in a gym, if I ever saw somebody who looked nervous or who wasn't sure what they're doing or was doing an exercise wrong, I never looked at them and was just like, that's stupid. Like, never. I would either go and help them, smile at them, talk to them, or just, support them. Or even I just in my head, I'd be like, that's awesome. That would be awesome. Like if I ever saw someone who was overweight, for example, and they were rocking some little shorts and like a sports bra or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, you go, girl, go. I love it. And there was a girl once, oh my gosh, there was a girl once who came in, she was wearing a sports bra and leggings, and she had psoriasis all over her stomach and all over her back. And I was like, yes, you go, girl. There's nothing wrong with it. You wear your skin proudly. I loved it. I actually wanted to go up to her and be like, oh, thank you so much. You look amazing. But I just held back. Have you been to Ireland? Yeah, I've been to Ireland. My surname's Irish, Lismore. There's a town in Southern Ireland called Lismore, and that's where my surname's kind of from. Half my family are Irish. So yeah, I love Ireland. Definitely love it. I wish I kind of had the accent, but I definitely don't, unfortunately. Also love Irish stew, the food, amazing, so good. Again, I feel like I'd have so much more to say, but my mind's kind of gone blank. Where should I move to in Australia? Depends what you like. Every city is quite different, to be honest with you. If you like the heat, go north. Like if you like warm weather, go north of Sydney. Like you need to go at least to the Gold Coast and north, but then you kind of have to battle with the bugs. So if you don't mind the bugs and the snakes and all that sort of stuff, then you're cool. Sydney is I feel like I lived in Sydney for 3 years. It's very like work, very businessy. Obviously there's a lot of beaches in Sydney and stuff, but it's very flashy, work related. We're here for business kind of thing. And obviously a lot of tourists. And then Melbourne is, if you've ever been to London, Melbourne's like a very small London, I think, I would say. It's kind of like a bit gentrified, trendy. They like to be doing stuff their own. Like they don't really follow all the same rules as everywhere else in Australia. And yeah, they just do their own thing. Adelaide's kind of like a mixture between Sydney and Melbourne. I've never been to Perth, but it sounds like it's a pretty nice place, but it's very, very isolated, obviously, on its own. So yeah, just it depends on what you like, really. How many hours do you try to get of sleep each night? It depends, to be honest with you. It depends. Firstly, it depends if I'm on my own or if my boyfriend's here. If my boyfriend's here, I tend to sleep a bit more than if I was on my own. If I'm on my own, I end up just working until like 1 a.m. So I will, and I'm like a granny. I like to go to bed early usually, but recently I've just been starting to work until like 1 a.m, or I just watch YouTube till 1 a.m. Oh, that's something we could talk about quickly, is favorite YouTubers or videos to watch, because I watch a lot of random stuff. But if my boyfriend's here, I tend to go to bed around 11 o'clock, and then I wake up around 7, 8, something like that. If I'm on my own, I go to bed at like 1:30, and then I'll get up at like 6. So I sleep a lot less. So I'll get up at 6 and I'll start working, and then I'll go for a walk or something like that. YouTube. Let's have a quick chat about YouTubers. So my favorite things to watch on YouTube are fashion hauls, which is weird because I literally live in leggings and exercise gear. I watch a lot of fashion hauls, but I don't buy a lot of stuff. Like I really don't buy a lot of stuff. The only stuff I spend my money on is literally food and obviously like living expenses, like rent and stuff like that. There's that meme that goes around and it says like your bank account, what's it called? Account statement is literally like a food diary. That is what my account statement is like. It's just a food diary, coffee and food. So I watch a lot of fashion hauls, and I really enjoy watching them, even though I never buy anything from them. And then I love watching makeup tutorials, even though again I don't really wear a huge amount of makeup. Like I literally have had the same makeup in my makeup bag for like, it's just going to be really bad for like 3 or 4 years, maybe even more. It's really bad because you meant to throw it out after a while. Good night, Alabama. Good night. And then what else do I like watching? So I watch like PewDiePie with my boyfriend, or watch Cinnamon Toast Ken if you like funny stuff, or JonTron. A good story is that when I slipped, well, when I herniated my disc in my back and I was like in the worst pain, I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't even breathe without being in such agonizing pain. And my boyfriend was trying to distract me. So he put on this JonTron video on YouTube, and it was he was reviewing this back treatment thing that's meant to help reduce sciatica and like back injuries and stuff. And it was so funny that I couldn't stop laughing, but I was crying because I was in so much pain of watching this video about back injuries. And that was a good video. But yeah, they're pretty funny. And favorite YouTubers in terms of like what I watch. So I've been watching a small YouTuber called Trina Louise, just like fashion hauls, like plus size fashion hauls and beauty. So I watch her. I watch a lot of Natasha Ocean. I like her stuff. She's got really, really good stuff. So check her out. I do watch a bit of Sarah's Day because I love her vlogs. And what else do I watch? There's not a huge amount that I'm subscribed to, but I kind of watch the same people over and over, and then the same type of videos as well. So yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube. Someone said, how do I make a YouTube channel? Because I'm planning to make one. So yeah, you can just like sign up, create what I don't even remember how I did it, but you create a YouTube channel, and then obviously you film a video. You can film it on your phone and your camera, whatever it is that you have. I literally use, oh, it's over there now, but I use a camera. So I started with a Sony A6000, I think. You can tell I'm not into tech. And then I've recently purchased a GX7. I bought this like, I don't know, 6 months ago. The reason I switched was just because this has a flip screen so I can actually see what I'm recording, because before I couldn't, and I ended up recording things again and again. So I bought that. I don't use a microphone, although I have one for my pseudo like podcast that I've never uploaded, and that was just a cheap microphone. I edit in iMovie, although I keep meaning to get my boyfriend to teach me how to use Premiere, and I do my thumbnails on Canva. Really easy. It's like super easy to do. I can't use Photoshop, even though I did a diploma in photography. I don't remember any of it. And yeah, and you just upload the video and just make stuff that you're passionate about, and you know that you enjoy making. And just keep doing it. You know, like it's just something that I never did it. I never did YouTube because I wanted to make this into a job. I just did it because, well, the first initial video I put up was because a lot of people were asking me questions after it. I had a picture that I put on Instagram about my weight loss, and then a newspaper picked it up, and then a lot of people were messaging me about it. And so I just couldn't get back to everyone. So I just made a video about it, put it on YouTube, and then I just forgot about it. And then after about 6 or 7 months, I think it was, it started to go a bit crazy, and people were messaging me, asking me to make more. And that's kind of how it grew from there. So that was sort of my journey into it, but that was never my intention. I just did it because I wanted to help people, and I just wanted to put it up. And really that is still my main goal with it. Obviously I do my personal training and my coaching, and I can talk about that in that, but my main goal is to educate and to help motivate people and just show that, you know, you don't have to be anything like I'm nothing special. I'm literally just like everyone else. Like that's why I struggle with imposter syndrome so much. It's like, I'm just like everyone else. I struggle with the same things. I have the same thoughts, the same, everything is exactly the same. But you can do it. You can do whatever you want. You can achieve whatever you want. You don't have to be, you know, super athletic or anything like that to get there. We're going to see you on a TED Talk one day. How cool would that be? That would be so cool. I mean, I would probably fluff everything, and like I would be like stumbling over my words and all that sort of stuff. That would be so cool. It would be mind-blowing. That would be really cool. Is the coffee scene in the UK better or worse? Oh, it's worse, like a lot worse. It really is. I'm sorry for anyone in the UK. And if you haven't been to Australia, then you probably wouldn't understand. But especially in Melbourne, the coffee is just so good. There is some good coffee places in the UK, don't get me wrong. In London, especially Manchester, there's some really good places. But unfortunately, not where I live. There's a couple of good places. But everything here is kind of franchise chain, like Starbucks, Costa, Nero's, that sort of stuff. And it's just not that good. I do miss it. It's one of the biggest things I miss. I haven't watched any anime, but I know what it is. I used to work in a store in the city in Melbourne, and it was a Japanese company. And so a lot of people I worked with were super passionate about Japanese culture and loads of things that came along with it. And anime was one of those. So I'm not really a huge fan. I think my boyfriend watched it a little bit, I think. I don't know. I've seen him watch a bit of it, I think. I sound like I don't even know him. Is there a non-Facebook community? Sorry, yeah. Oh, sorry, non-Facebook. No, I thought about sorry, I'm just answering the question without reading it. Is there a non-Facebook community for people who bought the ebook? No, currently there isn't. I did think about creating an Instagram account for it, but I feel like a lot of people don't actually use Instagram, especially when I look at like my YouTube compared to my Instagram, for example. But if you have any ideas, I'm more than happy to. And hopefully I'm releasing the second ebook, which follows on from that when I get better. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I really, really wanted to get it out, hiccups again, get it out for Black Friday. But I just don't know if I'm able to still do it yet in terms of take the photos because of the movements and my injury. But let me know if you have any ideas of like platforms. If you want me to create an Instagram account, then I'm totally down for that. And more than happy to do that because, yeah, it would be really nice I know a lot of people don't also use Facebook as well. So let me know if you have any ideas. When do you put up Christmas decorations? Guys, I don't know. I feel like I almost don't even want to put any up. In Australia, I never put any Christmas decorations up. I just didn't ever buy any. And so I never did anything. I think the most I ever did was put like a Christmas bow in my hair for work. However, obviously this place here, I've got this massive archway. So I feel like this would look really nice with some Christmas decorations on it or at least some lights or something. And I know this massive, I'm sorry, I have to move you. This big bay window would look pretty awesome with a Christmas tree in it or something like that. So maybe I should get some. I don't know. What do you think? I think it's probably a bit like Grinchy if I don't. It's a bit bar humbug, isn't it? How do I like my new place? Yeah, it's good. I've settled into it now. So for those of you who don't know, I moved to where I'm living now about 2 months ago, something like that. I'm not sure. Again, this was all in my vlog footage that I've never uploaded. So you'd see a bit more of it and unpacking and all the process of moving and stuff like that than if I hadn't, that I haven't actually uploaded it. But yeah, I like it. It's obviously really, really different to where I was living before. Before I was living in a house in the countryside. Now I'm living in a flat in the city. But I used to live in a flat in the city in Melbourne and I really enjoyed it. So it's pretty awesome. I feel very, it's nice to be kind of where everything's happening, and I can go for a run I could go for a run in the countryside, but it's just different scenery. Nice to be around people that I know that obviously I can't really see them at the moment, but eventually I'll be able to see them and just be closer to stuff, like closer to supermarkets and closer to gyms and stuff like that. So it's good so far, but obviously we're in lockdown at the moment, so I just have to sit here, but that's fine because I pretty much spend all the time here anyway working. What do I like to watch on Netflix? I don't really watch a lot of Netflix. I did recently watch Glow Up, which is a makeup, which I don't really wear much of, but it was a makeup competition, which was really good. However, I don't know if any of you guys have watched this, but my boyfriend and I just finished watching The Handmaid's Tale. We literally watched it back to back. And this is not on Netflix, it's on Amazon Prime. But we watched The Handmaid's Tale. Oh my gosh, it's nuts. And now we've finished it. I think we've finished season 3 or whatever the last season was. And we've got to wait until the next season. But oh my gosh, it was really good. So yeah, if anyone's not watched Handmaid's Tale, check it out. My boyfriend's mum had mentioned it to me and he wasn't really keen on it. And then eventually one day, one of his friends had said to him that it was good and suddenly he was interested. So we ended up watching it. Yeah, see, it's so good, right? It's so good. Queen's Gambit, I've heard this is amazing on Netflix. And so I have to check this out and everyone's telling me it's really good. The other thing that I watched was Ozark. If you've not seen Ozark, I didn't think I'd be into it because it's like a money laundering crime thing on Netflix. But oh my gosh, it was really good. We watched it in the first lockdown and it was so addictive. We were watching like 4 episodes back to back at dinner time. It was so good. The Great. Ooh, I've not even heard of that one. Maybe I should check that out later. No, because later I'm going to edit the vlog so it goes up this week. Hulu. I used to have Hulu in Australia because I love reality TV. I watch a lot. I used to watch a lot of it. I used to watch like all the Geordie Shores and there was one show. I can't remember what it's called, but it was these 3 girls from America and they were like best friends. It was so, so good. If I can remember the name, I'll have to let it, but it was so hilarious. They were the most down to earth, just normal, relatable people you've ever seen in your life, and you just wanted to be friends with them. Yes, Ozark. See, Ozark is amazing. Yes. It's so good. Bloodlines. I've not even heard of that. Dark. Okay, yeah, I did watch Dark. I watched like 2 episodes and I just couldn't get into it, unfortunately. But everyone raves about how good it is. Do I watch cricket? Yes, I do watch it sometimes. Actually, I had tickets to go see cricket this year, but it got cancelled because of COVID. I do like cricket. I find it very relaxing to watch. And I used to go watch it quite a lot at the MCG in Melbourne because they do the. Oh, my memory is going so bad. Somebody from Melbourne, please help me. What is it called? When all the smaller teams play against each other in the T20s. Oh my gosh. Okay, I can't remember it now. But you know, like the Melbourne Stars and the Rebels and stuff like that, they all play. We used to go and watch that a little bit as well, because obviously it was just quick and easy to watch. So have you seen Brave New World on Sky? No, haven't. I don't have Sky, unfortunately. Oh, but my boyfriend has Sky. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, Brave New World. I'm getting so many good ideas. Okay, awesome. I'm just sitting here telling you guys how much work I've got and how like I never get any sleep and how I'm getting all these ideas to watch shows. Oh, The Crown. Yeah, I've heard that The Crown's good because I was watching Gogglebox last night while I was having my dinner and they were watching The Crown and it looked quite good. It's not something I would usually be into, but I'm tempted. I am tempted. Have you seen Peaky Blinders? No, I haven't. I feel like I'm way off the pulse with. Oh, actually, I tell you what, I did watch one episode of the other night. American Horror Story? Is it American Horror Story? Yeah, I was like, we're just looking for a new show to watch now. We finished Handmaid's Tale, and I was like, I know that this is meant to be really good, but we put that on and I fell asleep. So I don't know if it was any good. But if anyone's watched it, let me know if it's any good or not, because I will check it out. Yeah, everyone's saying The Crown might be quite good. It did look really good on Gogglebox. I was like, oh, it looks like it could be quite addictive. And I guess because it's kind of based on a true story, then it could be quite good. I like things that are based on a true story. In terms of films, like my favorite film ever is Pretty Woman. I love that film. But I think in terms of general actors, like Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite because he does so many good films. So he did like, obviously The Wolf of Wall Street, The Talented Mr. Ripley, I think he was in, and Catch Me If You Can, which is an awesome film because it's based on a real story as well. So I really like that. There was something else someone told me about the other day. I think The Queen's Gambit is based on a true story. Am I right in saying that? Favorite holiday film? Do you mean Christmas? Because it would have to be Love Actually. Like definitely. And if we want to talk about Christmas, let's talk about Christmas music because I am addicted and it is definitely not too early in the year to be playing it. Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Because that is the best song ever. And I literally play that in June, July, and it drives my boyfriend crazy. But it's such an addictive song. It's so good. So yeah, I do watch sport. Someone asked if I watch sport. Yeah, I watch cricket. I don't watch any soccer or football. Like it doesn't really interest me. I watch rugby, but that's because my boyfriend watches so much rugby. I love watching the tennis. So I watch a lot of the Opens, especially the Australian Open, because obviously I used to live there. I went to the Australian Open once. I think I watched, was it Djokovic? I watched him play. I can't remember who he played, but it was the semi-finals. So I just love that. So yeah, that was it. Michael Bublé is defrosting right now. He is. It's the season. It's the season for him to come out of his hiding hole. Last Christmas by Wham. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I mean, to be fair, any Christmas songs are good. Do I watch boxing? No, I don't really understand it. I just don't. I mean, I'd watch it if someone else was watching it, but I just don't know. I don't really find it that interesting. How many days a week do I train? This is a question I get a lot. So there's no. Again, this is why vlogs would be useful because you guys would see that like the fluidity in how I live and like how I just train and stuff. I just wake up and I decide, do I want to do something? And it might get to like 9 p.m. at night and I might be like, you know what? I feel like I want to move my body. So I'm going to train. So I do tend to do something every day, but that something could literally just be a 5K walk, or it could be a full-on training session, or it could be half an hour or an hour of handstanding in my kitchen listening to music. Like I say, that's kind of like my therapy. It could be going bouldering, or it could be going to the gym, going for a run and going for a walk as well. So genuinely, I just haven't got a set plan. I have never followed a program. I've never set myself a specific amount of exercise sessions or times that I want to work out. I just do what I feel like, and I tend to do something every day. But that might be really, really low impact, just relaxing, walking, or it might be full on when I'm not injured, like high intensity, or it could be like a 4-hour Cali session at the park, like with mates and stuff. So it just definitely depends. But the most important thing is just no set routine at all. Any skincare routine for us? Oh, I always like dread these questions. Like people go, oh, your hair, how do you look after your hair? Or how do you look after your skin? Because guys, I'm just really bad. Like I use micellar water to remove any makeup that I wear. My makeup is like years and years old. I wash my hair with like Head and Shoulders shampoo and just Pantene conditioner because I like the smell of it. And I haven't had it cut in probably about 8 months. I'm really divulging a lot of information. I just don't. And like in terms of skincare, obviously I've got psoriasis, so I don't really do a lot. I don't really put anything on my face. I don't put oil on my face. I don't moisturize really that often. I just don't do anything. I think I find the more that I mess with it, the worse it kind of gets. So I just leave it alone. Favorite hiking destination? Yes, we've hit a really cool topic. I love hiking. I'd forgotten because I haven't done it in so long. Wow, I don't know, because I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface on hiking destinations, because I really only got into hiking probably about a year or two ago, and obviously COVID's been like wiped out this year, and then last year I got in a lot, but it was all pretty much UK based and a little bit of America and Nevada. So from what I've done, I would say, okay, I'm going to be really biased here because the Lake District, like the Lake District in the UK. And the reason that is my favorite place is because I went to school in the Lake District. So I feel like that's my home. So everywhere that I've lived and everything that I've done in my life, I think the most time I've ever spent anywhere is in the Lake District, which was when I went to boarding school there for 5 years. So I feel like that's my home, and I have still got some friends up there. And when I go there, I just get this feeling of like being settled and just being back somewhere that I know. So I would say the Lake District. And I think the best hike I've ever been on, hands down. Let me see. You guys would have seen these images before, but I hiked so I've got a friend up in the Lake District who does a lot of hiking, and I've known him for a long, long time now. But one time last year, it was about August last year, I decided that I wanted to go camping for the first time, like wild camping, which means that you're not camping on a campsite, you're camping like on the top of a mountain or something like that. And so I Googled like the best camping spots and ended up finding this really cool little spot called Haystacks. So I sent it to him and he found it on a map. So I'm just trying to find the photos. So this, so we found this little spot and we pitched up our tent, and it was just the most amazing thing. And I remember saying to him, I was like, I want to get up for sunrise and see the sun coming up behind the tent. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but like this was it's like barely visible. But basically that was our little tent glowing, and then the the sunrise in the morning was so stunning. And we woke up and we just walked around at like 5 a.m. on top of this mountain, and we just wandered around. We did a bit of bouldering. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this at all. We did some bouldering at the top of the mountain. The views were just spectacular. The weather was perfect. It was just the most amazing experience. So that would be my favorite hike I've ever done. Although earlier this year, I did Scarfell with my boyfriend, and that was the first hike we'd done together, and it was absolutely howling. Like the weather was so bad. There was weather warnings out to say don't go in the mountains. It was snowing. It was full on. Like every step I took, I was going down to my knees. We didn't have any crampons or anything like that. I'm not advocating unsafe hiking, but it was a pretty full on experience, but it was pretty awesome. And when we got to the top, I was like, this is pretty awesome. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Am I a food lover? Oh my gosh, yes. It's like my favorite thing. I literally go to bed thinking of coffee. I wake up thinking of food. I just can't stop. Like I love it. And my favorite food would probably be bagels with avocado, because every day I say that I'm not going to have bagels with avocado for lunch, but I do. And then my favorite snack would probably be chocolate. Yeah, it's going to have to be chocolate. I literally love chocolate so much. I've got chocolate in my cupboard. I've got chocolate pots. I'll be eating one of those after this. And I love coffee. I love coffee. Coconut lattes, almond lattes, oat milk lattes, black coffee, white coffee. I'll take anything. I love coffee. What's the biggest lesson life has taught you? Oh, man, I feel like I've got so much more to learn. Like I'm 30 now, and I just feel like I'm only just scratching the surface. But oh man, I'd have to come back to that question. The biggest lesson life's taught me. I think, do you know what it is? I think I'm a very people pleaser mentality. Like I would much rather see someone else happy over myself. So if I have to go without something, or I have to do something that's going to be detrimental to me, but it's going to make someone else happy, I would do it. And that is a great attribute, I think, but it can also be a very bad attribute, because you often will put yourself last and obviously be your own worst enemy. So I think over the years, I've learned that you really do need to prioritize yourself in some way. Like you do need to think about yourself, and that as bad as it sounds, that sometimes being a people pleaser or trying to help other people is not the right option. And if you do everything for everyone else, like they say, if you try to please everyone, you'll never please anyone. I think that's probably something that I've learned a lot. And it's about going, okay, you know what, you can try and please everyone, you can try and do everything for everyone, but ultimately you have to just make yourself happy, and you have to look after yourself. So I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned, because yeah, I always did stuff for other people. I did stuff that I wanted them to be proud of me, or I wanted them to be happy with me. And as soon as I slowly, and I'm still not very good at this, but as soon as I slowly started to do stuff that I wanted to do, or that I felt was right, or that was for my own benefit, I realized that it was probably the better option. So yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn that though, especially if you have that mindset. A freezing pain in your shoulder from doing the workout. I don't know. What do you mean freezing? I think message me on Instagram and I'll be able to help you, because it sounds a bit specific, so I'll be able to help you out. But let me know. I lost weight now. I want to gain muscle, but I'm afraid to eat and gain fat. Do you have any tips for a better relationship with food? Yeah, it's hard. It comes with practice, because over time you'll realize that food is something that's going to fuel you. It's going to get you through your workouts. You need food. You need protein to build muscle. And obviously, the more muscle you build, you'll see an increase in your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, and you'll increase the amount of calories you can eat anyway. But it can be really stressful, because obviously you've been in this phase of having to restrict how much you're eating. So slowly make changes, just slowly. And of course, nothing is irreversible. So like, don't stress about the fact that, you might put on a little bit like weight, because you're going to put on weight if you want to put on muscle. In terms of weight on the scales, you're going to put on weight. So don't stress about that. It's just take baby steps, because totally you're in this mindset of restriction, and now you've lost the fat. The last thing you want to do is then put fat back on again, if that's not your goal. So just take baby steps and just take it nice and slow, but understand also that food is important, nutrition is important. You need to fuel your body, you need to have energy. And again, listen to your body, because your body will tell you everything that you need to know. Oh, I'm getting some interesting questions now. Okay, so let's talk about this one. In the days that you are lacking natural motivation, how do you find motivation? If I'm going through days of having low motivation, I just sometimes let myself not be motivated. Like I just don't do anything. I don't train. If I need a day off work, which I often, to be honest with you, I don't really take a day off work. Like I always am doing some work, but I will definitely pull back on work a little bit in terms of if I'm not feeling motivated, or I'm feeling like I'm overwhelmed and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, most of the time I just do something and I just keep going. I don't know what it is. It's just something in me that like doesn't matter whether I'm motivated or not, I'm just going to keep going. So whether it's work related, or whether it's exercise related or food related, whatever it is, I'll just do baby steps, little things I can do towards it. And I try to release the expectation on myself that I need to achieve everything. And I try to be a bit more realistic with my expectations. So let's just take, for example, work. If I am not feeling motivated to work because of whatever reason, And that's not to say I'm not excited about work. I am excited, but sometimes I'm, again, my own worst critic, and I think that I'm doing a bad job, or I think that, you know, again, imposter syndrome, all that stuff comes into play, and that affects my motivation. Firstly, I look at the progress I'm making and I think about it, and then I try to really rationalize what I'm doing and if it's actually helping someone. And if it's helping someone, whether that's me or whether that's helping someone else, then it's worth doing. So I'll take a small step towards that. And usually once you get the ball rolling, it gets a lot easier. So in terms of motivation, like for example, if we're talking about a workout, I often say to people, and this is something that I heard when I was losing weight, and I always kind of go back into that train of thought, is going, okay, if you don't want to go and do a workout, that's fine. Just say to yourself, I'm going to go for 10 minutes, I'm going to go and work out. And if I don't want to be there after 10 minutes, then I can leave. That's totally fine. And if after 10 minutes you still don't want to be there, then leave. That's fine. At least you've tried and you know that's not what you want. But if you go after 10 minutes, you're more than likely going to want to stay anyway. So you'll find it easier to stay. So that's something I tell myself. Another thing that I sometimes come back to is, and I've said this in some of my videos, is JFDI, just friggin' do it. I know it sounds quite harsh, but sometimes we have to speak to ourselves like children. And I say this to my clients as well. It's in terms of eating, for example, you know, when you're younger and you have your lunch, then you say to your parents, like, I want a snack, I'm hungry. And they go, no, you've just had your lunch, you can wait till dinner. And you sort of throw a hissy fit. But you know, you survive, you get to dinner and you're fine and you enjoy your dinner and you forget about it after a while. Sometimes we have to speak to ourselves like that as well as adults and go, you know what, no, I don't need that snack, or you know what, working out would be good for me, or going for a walk will be good for me. And you tend to realize that you'll find that in the end. So that's probably what I do. What doesn't exist but you desperately want or need? Oof, I don't know. That's a hard question. Man, I feel like I'm good at asking like hard questions. I have like a whole list on my phone of questions to ask people, like when I meet them. And that sounds really weird, but like, you know, I ask my parents or I ask friends, you know, just questions to get talking, to get to know them, you know, and maybe that's what we could do in a live. We could go through some of these questions, but that's a good one. I don't know. The ability to travel very, very quickly. That would be nice, to click my fingers and go to Australia within a few seconds. What do you know about what do you love about yourself? Ooh, I like that love's a strong word. I really do like that I'm a very caring person. God, it feels so weird to say what you like about yourself. I like that I'm a caring person. I care a lot about other people and how other people feel. And I think that's a good thing. Like I say, that can also be sometimes a bit of a bad thing, but overall it's a good thing. And I would rather be a person that cares about others and wants to help others than someone who's selfish. So yeah, I suppose that's probably a good thing. Have I ever met Michelle Bridges? Wow. Michelle Bridges, no, that would be cool though. That would be awesome. No, I used to do some of her workouts. In fact, that's the DVDs that I did when I was losing weight. No, I haven't. That'd be sick though. That would be so cool. Any tips if I fall in love with an unfaithful person? Probably not the right person. Like, just no, definitely not. If someone, they're just not a good person, I would say, personally. There was something that I kind of wanted to talk about, but I've forgotten it now. And this has been going on for 2 hours. I'm so sorry. If you guys have been here from the beginning, you are troopers. 2 hours with me. That's pretty impressive. My favorite hobby, I mean, it's so cliche, isn't it? Handstands and calisthenics, hiking, bouldering. But if we're not talking exercise, probably, oh man, it'd be like watching YouTube. It's really bad, isn't it? Like watching makeup and fashion hauls. I think I need to get a hobby. I mean, in Australia, I used to doing crafting and stuff. I did like knitting and I did painting, and I have bought painting stuff and I have knitting stuff here, but I never have time to do it. I'm just always working. So yeah, I think I need to get some more hobbies because they're pretty much all active ones now. Yeah. Do you consider yourself, oh, I like this one. Do you consider your clients as friends? Okay, so interesting, because you read a lot of business advice. If you look at like people who offer business advice, they say your clients should never be your friends. And this is talking more business now. But I do have a really, really close relationship with all my clients. And I find that is crucial for me personally, in terms of to get the best out of them and for them to feel supportive. And I think potentially the difference comes from the fact that I have been in the same position that they have been in. And a lot of times, and this is just being very, very general, but a lot of times PTs and people like that have always been athletic, or they've always been to sports, and they find it very easy to stay motivated in that regard. And so they maybe can't relate in the same way, or don't understand the same struggles. So for me, I do see my clients as close friends in a way. So like we would chat about stuff. Like when I do my client check-ins, we'll still chat about stuff that's going on in life, and we'll talk about just anything that's going on. And they message me and they'll be like, oh, I saw your YouTube video and like I really like this, and oh yeah, maybe I'm so glad that you managed to do handstands again, or the back's better. And we'll chat about what's going on in our lives and stuff like that. And I think that's really important, because like I said, to me personally, personal training has got two parts to it. You've got the training aspect, trying to reach goals, educating, all that sort of stuff. And that's really important as a coach, really, really crucial. But the other side of it is being personal and to be relatable and to have a relationship with these people in a way that helps them and makes them feel supported. And I have phone calls with I had a phone call yesterday with a client. She said, it's just nice to be able to phone someone and to like vent and just to be able to talk about things and have them understand how I feel. It's that sort of thing. So yeah, I think I do. Whether that's right or wrong to some people, I don't really know, but I think it's important. Favorite motivational book? Well, I don't know if it's motivational, but my favorite book in general is 1984 by George Orwell. I've actually recently bought, so I have these like posters, as you can see, dotted around. This is basically all I spend my money on, but these are only like 20 quid or something like that. But I recently bought the original cover for George Orwell's 1984 to put up in a poster frame, but I can't find a frame that fits. And I also bought an amazing Melbourne poster. It's really cool. I would show you, but it's basically the height of me. So it's really hard for me to find a frame for it as well. But in terms of motivational book, I don't know. I'd have to come back to it. I have read a lot. I've read a lot of them. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know. Something that made me laugh this morning was I've got a bunch of books next to my bed, like lined up against my bed on my bedside table. And one of them is called The Organized Mind. I bought it recently and I've only got like one chapter into it. But for some reason, I've put it back upside down. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that sums up my brain. It's like this book about organized minds being upside down on my bedside table. In terms of signing up to be a client of mine and prices, etc., you can check it out on my website. So I do lots of different options, but basically you just apply online. It is an application process because it sounds a bit official. It's just to get to know you. So basically you put through a application online and you can give me some basic details. We'll book in a consultation call. We'll chat, just get to know each other, talk about your goals, and then I can understand whether I can help you. And if not, I can refer you on to someone who might be able to. And if you feel like it's the right option, because online training is not the right option for everyone, but for some people it works really, really well. So if it's the right option, then we go ahead and start training together, and yeah, just go from there really. So it's all online, obviously it's nice and easy, and it's pretty awesome. It blows my mind that like I can talk to people who live halfway across the world just like we're doing now and train them. It's so cool. So that's how you do it. But it's all on my website, which is lucymedicinalfitness.com. It's always in my like down bar. This is a massive one: diet culture and body positive movement. Yeah, that's like a whole nother topic. I almost feel like I'm not even well versed in this topic to talk about. And I think that's really important. It's like to know when you're sort of out of your scope or knowledge field. I feel like there's so much more for me to learn in that regard. But I feel like it relates a lot to me. And I do watch some of Beast to Beast's live streams and some of the stuff that they, like that kind of sector of YouTube put up. And I have thoughts on it, but I'm still really confused by it. So I just need to do more reading about it and to understand it a bit more, because I don't like to talk about something that I'm really not fully versed on. But I feel like it relates to kind of my clients and to me and stuff a lot. So it's something that I'm still trying to learn a lot about. But it would be really interesting to maybe have a live about it one day and we could chat about it and get to know your thoughts about it as well, because obviously it's a huge thing at the moment. Even like the haze movement and stuff like that is just full on. So yeah, we could chat about that at some point. I just saw, you always look so happy. Where is your mind when doing a workout, not really liking it? Yeah, I'm going to start wrapping it up now because you guys have like trooped on for 2.25 hours. That's pretty impressive. So I don't want to hold you guys up for too much longer. But this is something, let's chat about it. Because again, I know I keep mentioning it and I keep coming back to it, but you always look so happy. And where is your mind at when you're doing a workout that you're not liking? Okay, let's just talk about the first bit. You always look really happy. I'm not always happy. Like happiness to me is an extreme emotion. I remember reading this a while ago in a book. It was talking about happiness and why we're in the pursuit of happiness all the time. Happiness is more of an extreme emotion. What we really want to aim for is just being content. And I honestly don't even know if I'm at that level. I have something that I work on, but I feel like every single day I have something that I'm upset about, or that I'm stressed about, or that I'm worried about, or that I'm doubting, usually myself and my abilities. And so I just don't know how that comes across. And of course, like I don't purposely not put it on social media or put it on YouTube or anything like that. But you only see like the tiniest little snippet. And I just don't want to be in a position where I'm like making other people feel like I'm complaining or I'm whinging or anything like that. But I want to be open and honest. So that's why I do talk about it quite often, that I do feel negative. I feel negative about myself. I feel stressed a lot. I worry a lot. I cry a lot. And it's totally normal, I think, to feel that way, especially the way the world is at the moment. And, you know, my life is not this perfect situation or this picture of perfection in any way whatsoever. You know, it's just exactly the same struggles as a lot of other people. I'm very fortunate, you know, that I have a job that I love, and of course that I'm healthy. You know, obviously, like I'm injured, but I'm healthy overall. This injury will eventually go away, and I'm very fortunate about that. And that's what I try and come back to. But I'm not always happy. I'm not. I think when I'm talking to others, like it's important for me to make sure other people feel happy, and that's why I probably appear to be happy all the time. And I am happy a lot of the time, but I'm not happy all of the time. In terms of doing a workout that I'm not really liking, I tend to not do that many workouts that I don't like, because again, I just work out because I enjoy it. It's not, I always come back to this thing of, who am I? Like, this is my job, and I'm not even worried about looking a certain way or training a certain muscle group or trying to get, you know, a zillion pull-ups or something like that, because there's no point. I'm not an Olympic athlete. I'm not training for a professional role in that regard. I'm doing this because I love it, and I advocate for a healthy and happy lifestyle that you enjoy. And if that to me is doing a workout that I enjoy, which is not very hard or not really a struggle, then that's totally fine. I'll still see progress in the ways that I want. And if there is a workout that I'm doing, I mean, sometimes I get hiking and I'm like, at the time, I'm like, what am I doing? This is awful. This is cold, and I'm getting smacked in the face with my hair because it's so windy, and this is really hard. And I'm like layered up and sweating underneath all these layers. But I always enjoy it at the end, because it's something that you're attaining to, like when you get to the top of the mountain, you've got an awesome view or something like that. And it feels like good to achieve it. So I think in those times, I'm just battling with my mind. Like if I go for a run and it's hard, I'm just battling with my mind going, come on, keep pushing yourself. You'll feel good if you achieve this. And then coming back to the, no, just stop. It'll be so much better if you just stop running, just stand still, just go for a walk instead. And I'm just constantly this back and forth, but I constantly just keep pushing myself to achieve it, because I know once I achieve it, it'll feel really good. So yeah, that's probably what keeps me going. Did I ever get bit or hurt by any dangerous animals in Australia? No, but I did have a lot of huntsmans like that came in the house and stuff like that. So no, not really. What to do for low back pain, which constantly goes and comes back? I would say just go and get it checked out, because obviously it's there for a reason. Pain shouldn't be there. It could just be that you have weaker muscles around that area, in which case a trainer or just training the right things could help, but you need to go and get it checked out, just because it could be something that potentially could get worse if you don't get it sorted out. Do I have a crush on someone? Yes, I do. My boyfriend. I also do crush on some of the rugby players, which makes me it's quite useful because he watches a lot of rugby. So that's quite useful. There you go. Yeah, I agree with being content is what you should pursue instead of happiness. Yeah, exactly. Being content is a good area to sort of aim for. I think it's unrealistic to expect ourselves to be happy all the time. It would be nice, but what weird childhood fear do you still kind of hold on to? I don't know. I don't think I really have that many fears. When I had depression and anxiety, my biggest fear was being ill, like being terminally ill. So in terms of suffering. And I guess in a way I still worry about that, but like I don't think about it very often. So that would probably be like the biggest, but that's not come from my childhood. I don't know actually. What time is it where you're at? It's 9:20. It's 9:20 p.m. Maybe I won't get that vlog edited tonight. Don't worry, guys. I will get it up this week. Plus the podcast as well, like I promised. Have you ever done skydiving? No, I'm too much of a baby to do that. And I haven't done any bungee jumping either. When I was at uni, I was in a lecture once and we were learning, I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I think it was immunology or physiology, one of them. And they talked about retinal displacement through bungee jumping. And I've been sworn off bungee jumping ever since. Like I would not do it just because of that. Yeah, that petrified me. So no, I don't know if I'd skydive. I would maybe skydive. It does look pretty cool, but I'm not really a huge fan of that feeling in your stomach when you're falling, like free falling. And I mean, I go to like trampoline parks and I'm too scared to backflip, even though that's also one of my goals is to learn how to backflip. So I'm not sure, but I'll never say never, but it's not on my plans. Let's put it that way. Right, guys, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. I didn't even think it would be this long, but it's been pretty fun. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. And thank you so much for tuning in, for chatting, for engaging with me. And I'm sorry if I didn't get around to answering your questions, but I hope I answered most of your questions. I have really enjoyed this, like really, really enjoyed it. And I'm so glad that we chose to do it. So thank you so much for joining. I will be getting up a video this week, a normal video, a vlog video, and the podcast as well this week, because I promise that I will do that. Like I say, I'm challenging my own stress, my own self-doubt, my own worries to do this. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and thank you for saying goodbye. I appreciate all your support so much, and I hope you all have an amazing day or amazing night wherever you are. All right, take care. Bye.